Switchblade, first and last of all God made, and that's the truth. But man, keep on trying to hold me back while another chicken head come home confused. Too strong, try to do me wrong, and the last one standing will order and command you to dance. Oh, dance.
Run to your preacher and your teacher, I'ma give what you love.
Welcome, 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 and happy Thursday. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and I am your host on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 1 to 4 p.m. How are you all doing in these Wakandan streets? Marva has so much to tell you and to discuss, but we can't start without discussing that fly. The fly that took over the whole vice presidential debate last night. I have never seen so many memes for one little thing in all my born days. That fly got so much love. And so, aside from the fly that pitched on Vice President Pence's head for over 3 minutes and the hilarity that it caused for so many people, let's talk about the vice presidential debate and what you thought happened there. I stayed quiet about it until this morning, just really trying to pay attention to what's happening. And something struck me. Let me just make sure that, because I'd like to talk to the WURD listeners on Facebook. So I just want to make sure that I pull that up so that you guys can talk to me. And Malcolm, I saw that you were the first one that said, hello, mother. How are you, sir? Always a pleasure to see you and talk to you. Anyway, so a couple of things struck out for me. There were people who got on social media this morning and said things like, well, no one really won the debate because I was a little bit disappointed in Kamala because she didn't stick it to Pence the way she could have on the issues. And the first thing I did, after my head stopped swiveling like Beetlejuice, of course, the first thing I wrote was, what do you all want? When we speak up and we say what's on our mind, you're too angry, you're too vicious, you're too all sorts of things. So here was this woman trying to be measured. It was her first time on the national stage running for vice president of the United States. Bad enough that they said she wasn't black, she wasn't this, she wasn't that. They got on her about law and order, and the only thing you could think about was that she wasn't hard enough on Pence. What do you want? Right? What are the issues? She tackled COVID-19 and the fact that 2 weeks ago we were at 199,000 people dead. Today we're at 216,000 people. I mean, come on, people. The numbers are increasing exponentially. And then when we talk about the fact that Pence was in charge of COVID operations to make sure that the country did what they were supposed to do. As you can see, he wasn't trying to answer any questions. So why are we going to beat the dead horse? The woman was sharp. She did what she needed to do. And I'd like you all to continue to try and give her some grace and space in these Wakandan streets. We have to do better than this, right? Let's look and see what is going on aside from the fact that she didn't get in Pence's case. And then, look at the fact that, again, Pence, like a lot of men, was talking down to her and the moderator. Things that we've always kind of whispered behind closed doors about. But this is happening in businesses, in large corporations and small corporations all the time, where women sit in a boardroom, give great ideas. They're either poo-pooed or not responded to at all until someone else, a man, takes the idea and says the same exact thing, and they get slaps on the back. Yeah, but that was a good idea. Like, when are we going to, as a collective, sit up and realize that we need to do better about this? I have a call already? Wow. Maurice from Southwest. You're not even going to let me read my stories today, huh? Hey, Maurice.
Yes, sir, Mother.
How are you, sir?
Well, let me tell you something. I think that whole debate thing was messed up from the beginning, and I'm even taking up for Pence. I'll tell you why.
Wow.
When you only have one debate, how can you get everything you need to say out in 2 minutes?
Okay.
That is hard to snap back and come back, and the moderator is right there telling you to be quiet, because what you got to explain, you got to understand why these people are failures. You just can't give a quick answer. You got to tell in a little bit, not full detail, but you got to make the people who, I don't know who they are, that's undecided. They must be from another planet. But you got to let these people know what's going on. And there's a lot of things she could have said, but she only had a 2-minute limit.
Okay, so Maurice, can Mobile push back a little bit? Will you allow Mobile to push back a little bit? Let me tell you why I'm pushing back. They understand that there's a specific amount of time that they have for this debate. This is not news to them. They pull a whole team of folks around them and they ask all the hard questions, give them a chance to figure out, like, you have a certain amount of time. Like, when I get on the air, I don't have all the time in the world to discuss the things that I want to discuss. I have piles of things that I want to talk about today. And I have to be very mindful in what I'm discussing, the time that I have to discuss it in, and to also give time for the WURD listeners. You notice that when you guys call, I never push you off. I'm always talking to you because I understand that the radio station works and exists on the listening audience. Does that make sense? So, hold on, Maurice, hold on, because I know you're stripping to the polls. Hold on. Marva wants you to understand that when they get 2 minutes and they understand that they have 2 minutes, they can take a little bit of latitude, like they both did last night, right? And say, and kept talking to get their point across, but it's 90 minutes, and there's so much to discuss in 90 minutes. I can't take up for Pence at all because he has had 4 years to get himself ready for this next run, right? So he, of all people, especially after the election, the debate last week with the president, should have said, okay, this is what I know they're going to discuss. How do I want to handle this in 90 seconds or less? Right? That's life in general. We don't have time. We don't have more than 90 seconds to give an elevator speech to make people listen to us. After 90 seconds, it's just running off with the lips. And that's life in general.
Mother, I understand is that I'm not arguing about anything you said. Everything you said is right. But when they're asking you, when they come up with a topic for you to talk, and the guy just told you a bunch of lies against you, you want to set them lies straight and go into the question. And the 2 minutes is not enough time. I'm not taking it for him at all. Everything he said out of his mouth is going to be a lie.
Right.
But when she tries to straighten it out, some people believe everything they say.
Yes.
You got to give them proof why it's not. In 2 minutes, all I'm saying is an extra minute.
Okay, so here's what I'm also going to say, Maurice, and I hear you. I'm not disagreeing with you to the extent that they couldn't have an extra minute, but if everybody got an extra minute or an extra 2 minutes, the 90-minute debate would be until midnight, right?
Well,
and so
it should have been at 2 o'clock then.
Oh,
it should have been 2 hours.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, they
I have an echo.
on one time. They're only going to be on one time. It's not like they got another debate coming up. So they're trying to get out as much information as they can in that 90 minutes. And the moderator, she was so weak because they should have had, after she seen what the president did, she should have been able to turn the mic off.
Well, so here's the other thing that I am also thinking about, because I'm always, critically thinking through this. Even though they may not have had enough time, they still have 20-something days, right, to get their word out. So they can use commercials, they can have Zoom meetings, they can have conference calls. There are other ways that they can address the things that they were not able to address last night. For instance, there were some young people who said they were very concerned that no one really gave, they understood that Kamala at least had an idea of how to handle COVID, but they're not sure what that was because there was no time for her to give it in great detail, right? And so I agree with you. I do to a certain extent agree with you, but I'm telling you, this is life in general. We don't have all the time in the world to get our point across, which is why they give us, this is what you got to do.
Listen, I agree with you totally, but when you're not dealing with a regular debate situation,
I hear you.
got to side where all they do is tell lies.
Yeah.
You got to straighten them lies up, because if you say nothing to the lie, people have a tendency to believe it if you don't answer.
Yeah, but at this point, Maurice, here's the deal, man. Anybody who's hasn't made up their minds yet about how they're going to vote or where they're going to vote or even if they're going to vote, well, Black Jesus, well.
But listen, I agree with you, but you got to understand how many people in Philadelphia don't even know that WURD exists. Think about that.
Oh, wow. You know what? There you go. And how many people? I saw an article that was written by Cherry Gregg yesterday about Seth Williams, who just came off of house arrest, and he had no idea that even though he had a criminal record that he could vote. And there are 300,000 returning citizens in this city of Philadelphia who is telling them that they have the right to vote, that they can vote even though they have a record, a background.
I like to close with this. Is that why Seth is in my house, at my kitchen table right now, because he's off house arrest? I'm out of my house.
Goodbye, Maurice. Have a good one, sir. Bye-bye. All right, let me see if I can take a couple others. Reverend Joe.
Good afternoon, young lady.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm fine. I just want to give you some information that may help some people.
Yeah.
My wife and I went to Roxborough High School last night. It's on Ridge Avenue up there.
Uh-huh.
And it only took about 20 minutes to get in, vote, and get out. even with the mistakes we had made on the mail-in ballot, they gave us new ones. Young people were up there working. So if anybody can live in this area want to go to Roxborough High School, it was just great. So it was no hassle.
Okay. Awesome to hear. My husband and I are going to do ours tomorrow. We're going to make a whole big deal out of it. So I can't wait.
Yeah, well, and last but not least, believe it or not, there's still a lot of people in Philadelphia need groceries. I went to the store the other day and got 2 bags of groceries. It was $50-something. So some people are hurting. So we're going to be giving out groceries and vegetables and all that stuff.
Okay.
This Saturday, 12 noon at the church.
Okay.
The Walnut Lane Circle at the very end of Walnut Lane.
Okay.
Before you go over the bridge, you go to Manayunk at 12 noon sharp.
Thank you,
want
sir.
to come volunteer, you can help us do it, or come get food for someone else. That's what I'm trying to encourage people to do. Get something for someone else you know that's shut in, or seniors, or can't get out. Come get it. I mean, the price is right. You can't beat the price. So
yes, sir.
I wanted to make that announcement before you got out of it.
All right. Thank you so much, sir.
And thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Sister Murray, Northern Liberties, how are you?
Hi, how are you, sister?
I'm good, ma'am. How are you?
I am blessed, and it's just a pleasure to always listen to you. I love your energy, I love the word of wisdom, and you're just awesome. You're an awesome sister.
Thank you, sis.
I enjoy it.
Thank you.
What I want to say is, really quick, is Kamala Harris. I enjoyed it. She stayed focused, gave her power shot, kept in there about how many people died, and just letting them not let that go. And she talked about the health care. She talked about free college for those in community colleges.
Yep.
Important stuff. She did pick out, and she stayed firm no matter how much he cut her off,
right.
no matter how much he tried to stop her, and she demanded her respect to speak. You had to turn down and let me speak. I love that she took that. She's going to continue to take it. We will have her as a vice president.
Yes, ma'am.
Andrea, if you could share, a lot of people have been trying to listen to you about the doctor on City Ave, the eye doctor.
The eye doctor.
Could you share that again?
Yes, ma'am. I will make Mike put it. I will share that again with you. She's going to come back on the air to do a follow-up. The problem, well, it's not a problem, a good problem to have. Very good, Mike. Mike has it. The issue is so many WURD listeners are now going to her, and she's trying to help as many people as she possibly can, because a lot of folks are pretty sick. I had a woman that I know that lives outside of Philadelphia that went to see her and said she had been telling doctors for years that she's been having chest pains, and she even went to the hospital and spent 4 days there. Went to go see Dr. Major. My Dr. Major said, "Aren't you having chest pains? Because I can see in your eyes you're this close to a heart attack." She called me and she said, "Andrea, thank you so much." You know, so finally someone heard her, and I am very intentional about putting people in front of the WURD listeners that's not only going to listen to them, but to help them. You know, enough of us being dismissed when we walk into doctors' offices. I'm over it.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're quite welcome, my sister.
Who really is having trouble with her eyes, and I would love for her to.
All right, so give it to me. Give it to me, Mike. Give it to me. Let me tell you where it is. So, here's the number. I'm going to give you the number. Call 610. 365 7430, and they'll give you the rest. Okay?
7430.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you have a great day. Okay?
So much. Yeah.
All right, my sister.
Bye bye.
All right, bye bye. Rebecca from Springfield.
You doing?
I'm doing. How are you?
I talked to you. You talked to me before, and guess what?
What?
I went to see Dr. May. Thank you so much. It helped me so much. She helped me so much in so many areas, and I just want to thank you. But the reason why I'm calling is because Carmen was excellent.
Yes.
I am sick and tired of our people picking on our people.
Yes.
What is wrong with them?
I don't know, but I'm not here for any of it.
Great.
Yes, she was.
Great. And Maurice, I'm sorry, that's your boy, but honey, he can go somewhere because his stuff be off anyway. But no, she did great. I was so proud of her. And thank you so much for telling me about Dr. Major. She helped me greatly. And you helped me greatly. I talked to you a while back. I've been so busy. But God bless you. I'm praying for you. And you're going to do fine. And I know you're doing fine. And thank you so much for all that you've done and all that you're doing and how you're helping people. But she was out of sight. The woman was all that.
I agree with you.
They need to go somewhere. I'm sick of them.
Listen.
So I'm 78 years old, been around a long time. I'm sick and tired of these people.
Well, let me tell you something, Miss Rebecca. You don't have to worry about being sick and tired because I'm calling it all to the, as she said, I will come for you. Stop coming for the black woman, please. Just let us be. Let us live. Let us breathe.
Great. She did great.
Yes.
Because like you said, if she too aggressive, she a black or evil black woman. If she too this, she was very careful about what she did. He did all kind of crap. Let me tell you, that fly told the whole story. He is something wrong with him. That's why that fly stayed on.
She said that fly told the story. I saw so many memes about that fly, Miss Rebecca. It was hilarious.
Listen, that fly is saying, this thing is dirty. That's what I said. Okay. All right.
All right. Okay.
Bye-bye.
All right, Miss Rebecca, you have a good one, all right?
You too.
Bye, honey. All right, our next guest is on, so I'm going to go for a quick station break, and then we'll be back. But I see we ran right out the gate on hot stones today. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is a number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
But they've got the experience.
I'm still in shock 3 or 4 years later that we're in this position now. Our democracy is at a pivotal point.
From the top, we don't trust our government. We see the trouble we're in economically. We've got 170,000 Americans dead, and yet this president will do anything he can to make it seem like things are better than they are.
I did more for the black community than anybody with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln.
It's our responsibility. If we don't lead that effort to make things better, we can't ask other people to do it. There is no good reason not to vote.
Right, we need to have individuals that are in office like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
They are our best shot to take us forward.
And that's what makes me incredibly hopeful, but we really do have to work for this thing.
To the thousands who did not vote, we need you to show up for our future and for our country.
You cannot sit on the sidelines. You got to get in the game.
Paid for by Biden for president.
To African Americans, what do you have to lose?
More than we could have ever imagined. Trump's policies make black people less safe, and his downplaying of coronavirus cost black lives. It's time to elect someone who cares about us. Joe Biden. Joe will fight racism and injustice everywhere. He'll expand Obamacare and rebuild our economy so it works for all of us. Request a ballot now. Make a plan to vote. Our lives depend on it.
Paid for by Ask Me People, which is responsible for the content of this ad. AskMePeople.org. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
2020 is the year of voter options. We have many different ways to exercise one of the most important activities in our lifetime. Some of us might be voting by mail, but the rest of us can still vote safely while masked up and social distancing in person at your local polling locations. If you're in Philadelphia, learn more about where your polling location might be at either votespa.com or philadelphiavotes.com. For more information on how to vote in Pennsylvania, visit states.aarp.org/Pennsylvania. Vote early.
The WURD Radio Newsletter, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting WURDradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on WURD Radio, messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese, exclusive articles and multimedia content, and resources. Stay informed with the WURD Radio Newsletter.
This is Pastor Alan Waller, and I want to remind you of the immortal words of Pastor Leon Sullivan, not burn, baby, burn, but build, baby, build. Since 1968, the Sullivan Progress Plaza has been the place of entrepreneurship in the black community. We are still building, baby, build. And we want to invite you to come along with us if you seek to invest in our community and make a difference in the new world that we're going to create. For more information, call 215-232-7070. I want to invite you to be a part of the new future of Philadelphia.
With Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
I have an amazing guest that I'm going to talk to shortly. Someone I need you all to buckle down, get your pens and papers, and to really listen and to write, because Mother is, again, looking out for each and every one of you. Before I take this guest, though, let me take these 2 quick phone calls because the WURD listeners are on fire today. Gloria from Sharon Hill, how are you?
Hi, Miss Andrea.
Hi, sweetie pie. How are you?
Hi, I'm off today. I'm glad I'm home to hear you.
Yes, ma'am. What can I do for you?
Yes, ma'am. I saw that debate last night. Oh, the fly said you're full of it. And right on his head. I feel my goodness. I was in the laundromat. Listen, I left work last night. I don't drive. I took acceptance.
Yes.
I just 2 bucks delivery to come home and watch the debate in the laundromat. Okay, they had on a wide screen. I wasn't going nowhere till I saw that.
Oh, and how do you think they both did in the debate?
I think she was fantastic.
Yes, yes.
She stayed right. She was calm.
Yes.
She stayed focused.
Yes.
I mean, she gave it to us, especially about the COVID-19.
Yes.
And the Affordable Care Act, they're coming for you.
Yes.
And she is right. And she's telling them, too, they're going to take it away. If this man gets in office, they're going to take it.
Yeah. You know, Miss Gloria, are you aware that I was talking to a doctor yesterday, Dr. Ayla Stanford, who you all know because I've had her on this show time and again, is going to be on today around 3 o'clock to talk to me about the flu shots. Are you aware that you can get the flu and COVID-19, and if you survive one, you may not survive the other? So I have her calling in.
Yeah.
Yes, I have her calling in to get you guys together because she seems she's a voice that our people trust, and so I wanted her to talk to all of you. And I'm going to go to her and get my flu shot, just because, got to get it done. But thank you, Miss Gloria. Keep listening, okay?
Have a good day.
All right, my sister. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
George from Philly. All right, now, George, I got to get my guest on. What's up, sir?
Yes, real quick. Last night I was at a place where as though they were really listening to the debate and all, but it's a lot of room where everybody could be in there watching the TV.
Mm-hmm.
This is the thing that I had to tell you. I couldn't wait. A lot of people or major players in the city listen to URD,
Mm-hmm.
and you're one of the ones that their name came up that they have a whole lot of respect for.
Excuse me?
Yes, they have a lot of respect for you because you're not for sale.
No, I'm not.
There are a few people that are in the city is not for sale, and your name came up that one that they respect, that you listen and you give your advice and you don't just go off into la la land.
Mm-hmm.
But I was shocked that these people listen and understand. You'd be surprised how many white folks listen to URD.
Oh, let me tell you, George, I was on the trail the other morning. A white man ran right up to me. WURD. I looked down at myself. I said, I'm not wearing any WURD. But he knew who I was.
Yes.
That is so interesting.
Yes, and that was the interesting part. But the thing is that you are unique because you understand and you're not about selling your community down the
Not
drain.
at all.
And you say what you have to say. Some people get silent. It's a way of silencing people,
Yes.
which I know how they silence them. But that shocked me.
Yeah.
I mean, that they brought it, and they was laying it out. Even though we was watching the debate, it was before the debate that they was talking on a variety of different things.
Mm-hmm.
But you are very rare on things like that. You're just good. You speak from the heart.
Thank you, George.
And you are very sincere and clear on it.
All right.
I got to say that there. But, I got to say this here, is that last night she held her own. She did very well. She did more than well. And
George, are you in a place with noise? Because I hear a whole bunch of background noise.
Yeah. So
Come on,
the thing
George.
is that she did good, but let me say this here. Every time they come to Kamala Harris here in Philadelphia, they always do something stupid to piss people off. Don't you know if you want any things like lawn signs or any type of literature, you got to go all the way up Limekell Pike to get it?
Oh, did not know that.
Everything is always the Northwest. They got a bunch of stuff up. They just hoard stuff. People, you would think all over the city, people.
Okay, you know what I'm going to do, George? Because I keep hearing about this Northwest thing. I need some folks who are leaders in the Northwest to call Mother. Let's hash this thing out once and for all.
That wouldn't even do no good.
No, George, because
all they do is defend each other.
But George, here's the deal, George. Listen to Mother, George. Listen to me. I can't complain without trying to find the solution.
You're right.
So I have to find the solution, okay? Now, if I don't find the solution, then Mobile, then it'll be a different story. I have to try first, okay?
They're very selfish. All they do is they think that every day to do all, come all, and it's the elected officials, not the people who live there. They're the worst. All they do is think about themselves and friends and family, contracts, jobs, and all that type of stuff. All of them. Just look at their track record. And you'll see. They're the worst.
All right,
They're the
George.
worst. Dwight Evans is in charge of this Kamala Harris foolishness, and he's got more people turning against her because you got to go to them. He's a congressman, and all he cared about is when he was a state rep, his little district up there. You know what? Maybe we need to get somebody else to replace him that can concentrate on the whole congressional district opposed to everything Northwest this, Northwest that. And when you talk about it, they're so immature that they don't even want to hear what you're saying or try to see what you're saying. They only think of themselves. They're very selfish people. And that's why they always make people dislike the Northwest. It's been like that since the Bill.
All right, George. All right. I love you, sir, but I got to take my guest now. I'll let you get in for about 4 minutes now. See how good that was, George? He gone? George, that was not me. All right, he hung up. Okay. All right, listen, I need you all to get your pens and papers. I have an amazing guest that I want to introduce to all of you. And this is very important because we continue to have this conversation. And as people, we lose our property over the simplest of things, right? Olivia H. Stoner is an estate planning attorney who specializes in the area of estate planning, probate, and trust administration. Olivia assists clients in planning for the needs of their families by developing effective estate plans and drafting estate planning documents to take advantage of tax-efficient strategies in the lifetime management and transfer of wealth. Pen, please. Olivia has a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration from Wilberforce University, a Master's of Arts degree in Teaching from Antioch College, a law degree from the University of Pittsburgh Law School, a Certified Financial Planner designation from the College of Financial Planning, an Advanced Administration of Estates and Trust certification from Canon Financial Institute, and an Estate Practice Series certificate from the Pennsylvania Bar Association. Olivia is a member of the Bar Association, currently serving on the Probate Section's Executive Committee and Education Committee, and she has conducted wealth building symposiums and estate planning seminars for UNCF, Fannie Mae, Howard University, Macaulay Institute, and so many more. Olivia, hello, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, and thank you so much for even agreeing to have this conversation with me. And I am praying that all the WURD listeners now have their pen and paper and pay attention to what you have to say. I reached out to Mary Lou because my father is writing his will. He owns property and stuff in Jamaica. He owns property and other stuff here. And he just thought he could just write out a simple will and all would be copacetic. We could not get him to understand that it goes beyond that. And if he didn't get an estate planning lawyer, that we would be the ones locked up in probate over his stuff that he wanted to give to his grandchildren and his great-grandchildren. And so please explain to people, A, the importance of a will, and in what states can you write just a regular will and it's okay to use it after the death versus making sure that you have an estate planning lawyer?
Yes, it is important to have a will, to have a writing, especially if you have a complicated family situation or you have a situation where you have multiple heirs. The other thing to take into consideration, like your father, is that there's property in other jurisdictions.
Yes.
And every jurisdiction is different.
Yes.
And so if he resides in Pennsylvania and he dies in Pennsylvania, his primary probate would be in the state of Pennsylvania, but an ancillary probate would be required in any other jurisdiction where he owns property.
So that would be Jamaica. So we
so that's ancillary, and you just obtain an exemplified copy of the primary probate record to go to the other jurisdiction, or if you do not probate where the person resided, you only open the one probate wherever there's land involved. But right now, during this pandemic, and we're facing the uncertainty of anyone's health that can turn on a dime right now, it is important to have a plan in place.
Yes. And he wants to put a plan in place. He wants to put a plan in place, but we are concerned because of where he does not live in Pennsylvania. And I'll talk to you about that later, you know, what that looks like. And he kept saying, well, a lawyer is too expensive. And we kept saying to him, but we know you can afford to pay for a lawyer. And it would be more expensive to not pay for a lawyer on this end and then leave us on the back end wondering what in the Sam Hill. Right?
That's right.
In the simplest terms that you can, explain to people what a will is, please.
Okay. So a will is a statement where you provide the name of the person that you want to benefit from or transfer your assets to, and the name of the person that should be the executor to handle everything. In in Pennsylvania, and every state, I need to express this, every state is different.
Yes.
I'm only licensed in Pennsylvania, so I know Pennsylvania well. In Pennsylvania, you do not have to have a lawyer draft your will. If you have a complicated asset structure, you probably should have a lawyer, but in the interim, like now, when people aren't getting out, I tell people, anybody that calls me that's asking for a will, and I tell them between now and then, before it's delivered, I want you to write everything down, because a writing is accepted, even if it's on a postcard or a greeting card. As long as it shows your intent that this be your will, it names who the beneficiary is, it names who the executor shall be, and it needs to be signed and dated. That will be a valid document in the state of Pennsylvania.
Okay. So just so people understand, the beneficiaries are the people who you want to leave your property, assets, etc. to. The executor is the person who is going to make sure that the wishes are carried out.
That's right. They're the fiduciary. The executor or the administrator of an estate is the person that's charged with doing all the work, and they have a legal obligation to account to the heirs.
Right. There you go.
A lot of times that gets confused, especially if there is no will and the person who is appointed is the administrator, but to become the administrator, all of their siblings or the other heirs had to renounce in their favor.
Oh, wow.
And sometimes people think a renunciation means that everyone else has given up their inheritance, and that is not true.
Right.
A renunciation is only saying that you are appointing or agreeing to appoint someone else to do the work. But the heirs are, you don't renounce your inheritance. The only way to give up your inheritance is to disclaim it, and you're given a certain period of time in which to do that. And if you do disclaim, you're just treated as having predeceased the person who died.
Right.
And so usually if you predecease but you're survived by a spouse and or children, they step into your shoes. So your spouse and your children inherit and not your siblings.
Right.
The only way for you to give your assets to your siblings, if you have a spouse and children, is for you to have a will, because a will trump everything.
All right.
So
just so we
you know, it could be that this was a family home and you know it belongs to a certain sibling or whatever. You've got to have that in writing.
Okay, just so we're clear, because Ms. Stoner is telling you all, if you are married with children, that precedes anything that any other person would get, unless you write it out in a will that my sister is living in XY house and that house belongs to that sister. If you don't put it in a will, it does not automatically go to your sister, because the state recognizes the wife and the children first, correct?
Absolutely right.
Okay.
That is without a will.
Okay. I am going to take a quick break. I'm trying to do this in the simplest way so that people understand, because they will call, and I'm going to give them information on how to reach you in a little while. But I want to continue to have the conversations. Can you just hold on for a second for me, please?
Will do.
Thank you. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
Man, this coronavirus has us all moving differently.
No doubt. Like washing our hands more and social distancing with the crew. I'm always telling people to give me 6 feet. We're here, Grandmom.
There's my babies. Good to see you got your mask on.
Wear a mask. Stop the spread. For more information, visit www.pa.gov/COVID.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Just one more step. You got it.
You're doing great. This is the sound of a nationally ranked top rehabilitation hospital, home to the largest collection of robotics in the United States, where we continually exceed patient expectations, because no injury is too severe or too minor for our care.
There you go.
This is the sound of success. Moss Rehab. Challenge accepted.
The EcoWord Environmental Justice Summit. Indigenous Indigenous Peoples Day. Monday, October 12th from 10 a.m. till 7 p.m. In recognition of Indigenous Peoples Day, WURD and WURD Radio will host an Environmental Justice Summit to explore topics at the intersection of Black and Indigenous rights, income, and the environment. This day-long multimedia, virtual, and on-air event will bring together artists, thought leaders, and environmental justice advocates for groundbreaking conversations about climate change, land reclamation, water quality, and how it all converges in the Philadelphia region and beyond. It's the WURD Environmental Justice Summit, Indigenous Peoples Day, Monday, October 12th from 10 a.m. till 7 p.m. exclusively on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app, or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook. Presented in partnership with Bartram's Garden and From the Source Reporting Collaborative. The WURD Environmental Justice Summit is sponsored by PICO and the Alliance for Watershed Education and supported by the Lenfest Institute and the William Penn Foundation.
PICO has many ways to help you lower your energy usage and save money at home. Here's one. If your heating and cooling system is more than 20 years old, it may be time for your contractor to replace it with a high-efficiency Energy Star certified model. You'll get a rebate from PICO and save on your monthly electric bill. You'll find a list of new heating and cooling system rebates at pico.com/rebates. Or you can call 1-888-5-PICO-SAVE for all the details. Plus, find instant discounts on smart thermostats and more at pico.com/marketplace. There's free shipping on orders over $49.
New Voices for Reproductive Justice is registering Black women and their families in Philly to vote. The general election is on November 3rd. You can register to vote online at rock.vote/New Voices. That's rock.vote/New Voices. The deadline to register is October 19th. If you need assistance registering to vote, visit newvoicesrj.org.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you are just joining me, welcome. We have on the line Olivia H. Stoner, Esquire, who is an estate planning attorney, someone who was sent to me when I started inquiring about wills and estate planning, and thought that we may want to hear from her. I'm told that she's really good, and so far it has proven to be so true. Ms. Stoner, are you there?
Yes, I am.
I thank you again so much. So, you and I just discussed that in the state of Pennsylvania, you can create a will by just writing it on a piece of paper. Does it have to be notarized or anything for it to be legal and valid?
No, but it does have to show your intent that it be a will. And so that's generally best to just put at the top, this is my will. Then it has to clearly state who should receive what.
Mm-hmm.
And then it should appoint who should be the executor, sign it, and date it. That's all you need.
Who should receive what, and then who should be the executor.
Yes. Signed and dated. And generally, most wills will give specific bequests, and those are who should receive specific property.
Right.
But if there is anything left over, you could include in there the rest and remainder should go to. And sometimes it's the same people, but those are the elements. The intent that this be your will, name the beneficiary, and then name who gets the remainder, the same person, name who should be the executor. And if it's just one person, it could still be that same person. An executor, you could name two people if you want them to serve jointly.
Right.
There's no problem with that. Then you just have to sign it and date it. You do not need a notary.
Not in the state of Pennsylvania.
Not in the state of Pennsylvania. What happens is, after death, when you go to probate that document, the Register of Wills will require that two people who are familiar with that person's signature come in, and they have to swear that they are familiar with the signature and that is it.
Okay. I am learning.
On the other side, if a lawyer does it and it's self-proving, self-proving means that your two witnesses have witnessed you sign it, and the two witnesses, their signatures are notarized as well.
Got it.
So if you have that kind of document where everyone's signature is notarized, then it's called self-proving, and you don't need anyone to show up after death.
After death to do anything.
Yes.
Got you. What is the average cost of creating a will?
It can range anywhere from $200 to $400.
And my father, you know what? It shut up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what?
and it could be more, you know. But a lot of the senior citizens places and all, they have this. Sometimes you could get it for free or pay as little as $200.
Ms. Toner, my father just doesn't want to spend the money, okay? It's a long story, but he can't do
That's
this.
Fine. All he has to do is write it down. There's plenty of samples of what a will looks like. And I would encourage people who want to do it themselves or do something online.
Right.
The forms are there, and sometimes you can just buy a form and fill in the blank.
Fill it out. That's what he wants to do. So what I'm going to do is, I think my siblings and I are going to pay for him to have an estate plan just to look over, because he has stuff in different places, you know? And we don't want him to lose stuff that he worked so hard for over the years because he didn't want to spend $200 or $400. So I'm glad that you and I are discussing this.
That's right.
One more. I have another question for you. What is the difference between a will and a living trust, and what is a power of attorney, and how important is a power of attorney?
Okay. So a power of attorney is a document that is only valid as long as you are alive, and that's where incapacity generally strikes us before death. During a period of incapacity where you cannot speak for yourself, the power of attorney, your agent, is given the authority to speak on your behalf. So there is a medical power of attorney that allows a person to make your medical decisions, and there's a financial power of attorney. And the medical power of attorney sometimes is called a medical directive or anything like that. And then the financial power of attorney allows a person to handle your finances.
Right. Okay.
The financial power of attorney, the content of that document specifically makes reference to certain items of authority. And so if it doesn't, for example, if a person wants to sign to sell your property as your agent, they are not able to sell it unless your power of attorney specifically gives them that authority to sell property.
There you go.
Most of the financial powers of attorneys are always going to give you authority over the financial assets, like a bank account. But it could be as limited as one transaction, like representing you in a sale, or it could be as broad as making every decision that you ever could have made. So you have to pay specific attention to the content of the power of attorney to see what authority you have been given.
Okay, good. All right, and the difference between a will and a living trust?
Okay, so a will is effective after death. So a will is ineffective as long as you're alive because it can always be changed. But after death, then the will is what will allow your executor to go forward with probate. If there is no will, then you're in an intestate situation, and you have to do a family tree to determine who is eligible or who can probate the estate, and those it's limited to the heirs who would be able to inherit, and then those people are the ones that can probate. Sometimes that family tree grows into a large number of people, and then they all have to agree on who is going to serve, and that's when those renunciations come in.
And then that can be difficult because there are people who don't understand, and then it's, I'm losing my inheritance, I'm not giving you permission, blah, 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 blah. That's why it's important to do this stuff on this end. And the living trust?
And the trust, okay, so a living trust, it would be, if it's going to be a document that you actually have assets to put into. So let's say you have a discretionary fund, a portfolio that you're managing. You can create a living or inter vivos or revocable trust that's a whole separate document. They're fairly expensive to draft.
Yes.
But the whole purpose of it would be to create a generational legacy that will live on for multiple generations to support heirs that you have never met.
Yes, yes,
so
yes,
that,
yes.
And that's a true trust where you're going to pay a couple of thousands of dollars just to get it drafted. Then you need to fund it with something. So if you only have your home and your bank account and your retirement account, that living trust structure isn't always appropriate for you. But then on the flip side, if you find that real estate deeds are sometimes held in trust for, or bank accounts are in trust for just by titling. So when you have assets like that, there is no separate document that provides dispositive provisions for what happens. It's just a title. So you could go to your bank now and change your title from Jane Doe to Jane Doe in trust for or pay on death. They mean the same thing. What happens after death is that that asset automatically transfers to whoever you have named to receive it. And what you've done then is you've converted it from a probate asset to a non-probate asset. So it does not go through probate if by titling or if by beneficiary designation it automatically transfers to another person.
So let's just use me for the sake of argument, that I take my accounts and I say Andrea Sanders in trust for John Sanders, or in trust for, and put one of my children's names there. That would not go into probate because it's a non-probate asset. Yes.
Now, it's still taxable.
Yes.
So whoever you have named to receive it, they will and they will owe inheritance tax on 100% if it has that title.
Okay.
But if you have made them a co-owner of your account, so if you instead went into the bank with your child and you said, I want their name on my account as a co-owner, then upon the death of either of you, only the fractional share would be taxable.
Ah, I got it. You are.
But where you own 100% during your life and the beneficiary only receives it after death, then it's 100% taxable. And so that applies, and this is where people don't realize your retirement account, your 401k, your annuity, all of those things, other than life insurance. Life insurance is the only thing that's exempt. But everything else that has a beneficiary designation is taxable for Pennsylvania inheritance tax. And it's taxed at 100% of the date of death value when it doesn't transfer to the beneficiary until after death.
So if you transfer to the beneficiary or make them co-owners before death, then it makes it easier for people after death.
It reduces the tax by half, yes, or by thirds or whatever.
Oh, wow. You know.
Yeah, and I don't encourage people to give it to one child and tell that child they've got to divvy it up.
Okay.
If you wanted to go to several people, you need to name those people so there's no dispute after your death.
Yes.
And everybody gets their share in their own name.
Oh, this is your information. People are responding to you now. Vicky Whaley says, if you already have a will and want to change it, can you draw up a letter with the new info, and will it override the will that was previously made through the lawyer?
Yes. The latest date will be, the latest dated document is the effective one. And the first paragraph generally says that this document is revoking all prior wills. But if you don't want to really revoke the entire will and you just want to add something to the existing will, you call it a codicil.
A codicil.
So you say, this is a codicil to my will dated whatever date the prior will was, and then you add whatever you want.
Yes.
But if you want to replace the entire will, you just rewrite it as similar to what you have. You have an example there. You can use that. You just need to have a current date. You change the terms, and then the latest dated will is effective, and you have to have the original.
You are amazing.
So the original is what gets probated.
Yeah.
Probating a copy means you have to pay more money to take it through a hearing, and it's a lot of times people don't do that. So it's, and your original, you want to keep it in a fireproof, waterproof place so that where it can be found, because you have to have the original.
Fireproof, waterproof. Thank you. Don't think I have a waterproof. My husband, right after we got married, created a will, and I looked at him. I was like, "You plan to die anytime soon?" But he was brilliant.
It's like having insurance. It's like you never know. And here's the thing about life: you never know.
Yes.
Who's going to go when?
Absolutely, and that's exactly what he said, Ms. Stoner. My friend Mary Lou was absolutely right. You are a treasure trove of great information. Now people are asking, how can they reach you, Madame?
Okay, so now I've been working from home, and the best number to reach me on is my cell phone number, which...
Wait. Don't give it out on air. That would have all sorts of people calling you. Do you have an email address?
Yeah, my email address is H as in Harry, and then Stoner. So it's OHSTONER at AOL.
At AOL.com. Mike, put that in the thing for them, please, so that I don't want a bunch of crazy people calling you. So,
and I am a resource to the community, so I don't charge for information. Anyone can call me with a question. Once you want me to do something for you, I have a fee structure, and my fees are applied to actual work. I sort of feel that information should be given freely because in this area, you don't need a lawyer to write your will. You don't need a lawyer to go to probate, but you do need to know what has to be done. And one of the things I'm finding, and I'm real busy with now, is what they're calling tangle title.
Yes.
And
Hold on 1 second. Let me take a quick break because I don't want to cut you off. They could take a quick break and we can talk about the tangle title. You are wonderful. Okay. Hold on 1 second. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
But they've got the experience. I'm still in shock 3 or 4 years later that we're in this position now. Our democracy is at a pivotal point. From the top, we don't trust our government. We see the trouble we're in economically. We've got 170,000 Americans dead, and yet this president will do anything he can to make it seem like things are better than they are.
I did more for the black community than anybody with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln.
It's our responsibility. If we don't lead that effort to make things better, we can't ask other people to do it. There is no good reason not to vote.
Right, we need to have individuals that are in office like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
They are our best shot to take us forward. And that's what makes me incredibly hopeful, but we really do have to work for this thing.
To the thousands who did not vote, we need you to show up for our future and for our country.
You cannot sit on the sidelines. You got to get in the game.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Smith Play John is a new kids TV show produced by Smith Memorial Playground. Tune in Wednesdays at 3 p.m. on Comcast, Verizon, or PhillyCam.org for at-home play breaks, music time, story time, and to share your John. Details at smithplayground.org.
Hello, this is James Harper Jr., Business Manager of Labor's Local 413 in Chester, PA. I'm here to remind all the listeners of Labor's Live on WURD to make sure you, your family, and friends are registered to vote. We're at a pivotal time in our country's history where we have to make sure we bring common sense back into politics. We can no longer let hate, racism, and lies govern our country. We stand on the shoulders of kings and queens, warriors and activists that fought and were even murdered to give us the basic responsibility to exercise our right to register and vote. We dare not let them down.
Don't forget to tune into Labor's Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. on WURD, WURD.
Lifting every voice till earth and heaven ring. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. For those of you who are just joining us and are asking me a bunch of questions, you're texting, you're writing, you're on Facebook, it's OH Stoner. Let me put it in here, OH Stoner at AOL.com to reach Olivia Stoner Esquire, right? Ms. Stoner, are you there? Hello? I need the lawyer.
Okay.
Okay, you're here. Yes, okay. So continue the conversation that you were trying to tell us, please.
So tangle title is where real estate is owned by a deceased person who has been deceased for a number of years. Mm-hmm. And if it's beyond 21 years, in which lots of them are, you cannot even open probate without filing a petition with the Orphans Court. But generally what happens is either the family or someone needs to gain ownership of the property because of delinquent real estate taxes, or they're interested in selling the property, but it cannot be sold until you go through the probate process. And the reason it's becomes tangled is because the original owner, if they did not have a will, then you have all of their intestate heirs, and sometimes that's a number of children. So if we just say there's 4 children, and then all 4 children are deceased, but then they're survived by spouse and or children, and the tree just continues to grow. Now you have all of these individuals who have to come together in order to decide on who is going to serve and who's going to put the money up to begin the probate process. And inheritance tax through the state of Pennsylvania is due 9 months after date of death, no matter when you open probate. So when people don't move on probating someone's estate that owns property, and I've heard people say, we didn't do anything because this is heir property and we didn't want to mess it up or anything. But all they did was create more debt. Very often I have an interest accrues from 9 months to the date that you file the return, and in some instances you pay more on interest to the state of Pennsylvania than you do on the principal for the tax. And the tax is due based on your relationship to the person who died. So if you're a lineal heir, if you're a spouse, it's 0. If you're a lineal heir, meaning a child, grandchild, and or parent, it's 4.5%. If you're a sibling, it's 12%. And then everyone else is 15%. That's the top rate. And the clock starts ticking from 9 months after date of death.
That is why.
And I had a 1938 decedent who had 8 children, all of whom were deceased. Those that were survived by a spouse, we had to do the spouse's estate. If they had a child that died, we had to do that child's estate. I had to open up 11 estates for one piece of property to sell it. And the only reason that it got done, because most people give up because there's so much money that you have to pay every step of the way, is that the property, the house had been raised and it was a vacant lot, and developers wanted to build a high-rise, and the developers paid, and it took almost 10 years to get through the whole probate process.
That's a lot.
Doing an heir search and identifying all the heirs and filing inheritance taxes, open up an estate for each person in the family line. Anyone who dies in your family line, you have to open up an estate before you can get to opening the primary one. You can't even open the owner's estate until you have an estate for everybody under that person.
This is why wills are so important. So important. Let me ask you this. Someone just called in and asked, what about adopted children? How are adopted children fixed?
Adopted children inherit from their adopted parent. They do not inherit from their birth parent.
Inherit from adopted parents. Okay.
Now, I had a situation where the child was held out to be adopted, and everyone in the family felt that they were adopted, and there was no will, but there was never a legal adoption. So if you were never, if your family is telling you you're adopted, then the adoption process puts your name on the birth certificate or the parents who have adopted you. If your birth certificate has anyone else's name on it, then there's no legal adoption, and the only way for you to inherit is to have the will, to have a written document giving you a bequest.
I hope this is helping a lot of people. I really, really do. There are people saying thank you on social media, so I'm assuming that it's helping, right? It's helping if you live in Pennsylvania specifically, and you do not need to have a lawyer to write a will. You're to write it out, say who you want, clearly state who should receive it, who is going to be the executor of the will, sign and date it, and it has to say at the top, this is my will. Right? If the money is left to a spouse, the spouse pays 0% in inheritance tax. If it's children, it's 4.5%. Sibling is 15%, and anybody else is what?
15. Well, siblings is 12%.
Siblings
12%. Everyone else is 15. So nieces, nephews, friends, significant others. And then charity, of course, is 0.
Charity is 0. So spouses and charity is 0. Now it makes sense to me why when people are separated for long periods of time, they don't want to get the divorce. They're waiting for the other one to die so they can come in and swoop in and take up everything. Listen, I'm just speaking truth as I see it, right?
It's true. Now, here's the thing about, while they say you can't disinherit a spouse because a spouse would have a right to take against the will, but there is a statute that says if the spouse was abandoned, that it has to be affirmatively claimed by the rest of the family, but they cannot inherit if they've significantly abandon the person during life. So that long separation there, it means that it's not automatic, because a spouse, usually a spouse, even if they've abandoned the person, as soon as they find out about the death, they're going to pop up.
Yes, they do. And you see them show up at the funeral with the tears in their eyes and the black stockings on and the sunglasses.
That is correct. But it would be the other heirs that can assert the abandonment.
Yes.
And can obtain the full inheritance. But, a will is always going to be the proper thing to have.
Yes, ma'am. Olivia Stoner, Esquire, thank you. So, wait, someone. Can you explain the 5-year what? Look back. Look back? What's a 5-year look back?
Okay, so that's on a Medicaid grant.
A Medicaid grant,
Let's
okay.
say, and most people in their senior years, at some point, they're going to need to apply for a Medicaid grant for their health care, or either a nursing home care or ordering in-home care. And when you apply for the grant, your home is exempt from that application, primarily because as long as you own your home after death, the Department of Human Services is going to file an estate recovery claim against your estate, which your home would have to go through probate to be transferred. And probate is the only venue through which creditors can collect claims. So when you apply for the Medicaid grant, they have a 5-year look back to say, for example, you can't just give your house away, transfer title to your house, and then go apply for a grant saying that you don't have anything, because they're going to pull that house back in unless it was transferred 5 years.
What?
So look back 5 years to see, did you give away any assets in that 5 years? Did you take your bank account and give your money away so that you would fall within the lines of qualification? If you did that, you're disqualified for the grant.
Wow. This is listen. Someone just said,
you have to plan in advance.
Yes. Yes.
So if you have one child or 2 children and you know that you trust them to take care of you, there's no problem with you putting them on your bank account immediately.
Yes.
Because then that takes it out of probate.
Wow.
And so my point to most people, most clients, if your situation fits within this parameter, best to structure your assets to avoid probate.
There you go.
Probate is the only venue through which a creditor can collect a claim. If you don't open probate, creditors can't collect. But if you own real estate, it has to go through probate. If you have a bank account in your name alone, it has to go through probate.
All right. So one last question, then I'm really going to let you go. Can you deed your house to someone while you're alive to stop it from going into probate?
Yes. And
okay.
Here's the thing about deeds. There's no statute of limitations on recording the deed. So most of my clients, they don't want to lose control. They still want to be the owner of their house. But as a part of their plan, sometimes we do do a deed. And I tell them they can just, they don't have to deliver that deed at that point.
Right.
They could wait for the 5-year period before it gets recorded, or they could wait till after death.
Right.
And since there's no statute of limitations on recording the deed could be recorded at any time at a later date. It could be like 10 years later, 20 years later.
Ms. Stoner, thank you so much. I have kept you on for about an hour, and you have been absolutely wonderful. OHStoner at AOL.com, correct?
Yes.
Someone wants to know if you're taking office are you scheduling office meetings at all?
I do. I've only been going in my office once a week. So,
okay.
And people that I've had to meet there, I have. And my building has primarily been closed off to the public.
Okay.
But I've been letting people in just to complete the transaction of work that we have to do.
Okay.
But mostly everything I've been doing by telephone and by email.
Okay.
And
well, expect your email box to be very full tonight, because I can see from social media alone that people are very intrigued, and I have people texting me about you. Okay? I thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh, you're quite welcome. Have a great one. All right, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Wow, that was really good. That was really, really good. I learned so much. Oh, my goodness. I think we're going to have her back on just to talk again. Let's see. Celeste.
Hi.
Hi, Celeste. How are you, darling?
Thank you. I'm fine. Thank you so much. My question was really going to be for Miss Stoner, but she's gone.
Okay.
So I'll just do my other comments.
Okay.
Number one, I chose to take my mail-in ballot that I had requested. Before I had said to you that, okay, so I did receive it the other day, okay? And then I sat to myself, I says, look, Celeste, do not do this write-in ballot.
Yes.
And be waiting until November 3rd just because you're used to going to the polls. Because I said anything could happen to you during all these weeks. And that one day, which is life and death, you as a black person in this election, life and death, it's like a link in the election, you know. I says, do this paper ballot. And I decided that since we had the early voting, I could take it in person instead of putting it through the mail. So that takes away those questions about mail. And I took it in person to City Hall because I live in Center City. And it was, oh, God, it was a pleasure.
Oh.
Because, number one, I had already filled out my ballot.
Yeah.
So when I took it there, all I had to do was give it to them.
Yes.
You know, I had already filled it out.
So you can fill it out at home and then hand it to them there.
Yeah, so all that is done. And you're not on a line, is what I'm saying. You know, you're just walking in and giving it to them, okay?
Yes, okay.
And even the people who didn't have their own ballot, you know, having requested it.
Yes.
That was no problem because right there, if you don't have a ballot, you just go in, they give you one, you fill it out, and you give it to them.
Okay.
So that's good, too. You know?
It is. Yes, it is.
It's just great because at this time, you know, you worry about having to request a ballot because of the mail.
Yes.
So you don't have that worry.
Yes, you don't.
You just go to whatever place is in your vicinity for early voting. And mine just happened to be City Hall.
Okay.
But there are the other places for your particular address.
Yes.
And you just go there, and they have the paper ballots there for you to fill out. You fill it out, and you give it to them. It's done. Your voting, you know, your voting is done. And it was a wonderful thing. Another black lady was on her way, and she says to me, you know, so we walked together in there, into there, and she says, you know, I was on my way, happened to be in the area, and I was on my way to put it in the mail, and she said to herself, why do that? Walk in and give it to them, you know?
Yeah.
And so that was, you know, because she says to me, as I was saying, she says, this Trump is a demon seed. That's what she said. And I said, yes, my sister, absolutely. This is life and death. She said, it sure is.
Yeah.
So you know, we had that done. And I watched the Kamala last night. She was so good.
Yeah,
she was. She was like my man, what's the boxer's name? Almost said Malcolm X. You know who I'm getting ready to say. The greatest. What's his name?
Muhammad Ali.
She was like Muhammad Ali. She didn't miss a step.
Yes, Lord. Jabbing and shucking, jabbing and jabbing.
And she was so intelligent.
Yes.
In all that she put out.
Yes.
I don't mean just how she said it, but she made sure she got all her points in.
Yes, ma'am. I want to thank you so much for calling in, though, and letting us know that you got your ballots, and you have a good day,
I was
okay?
so happy. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, my sister. Have a good one. All right, bye-bye. All right, I want to, this has been a hot show. I walked in here, all right, here we go. The Community College of Philadelphia is now accepting applications for the Octavius Cato Scholarship, providing free tuition to eligible students. I have to get this out here. It's in partnership with the City of Philadelphia to expand higher education opportunities to 4,500 students in 5 years. New first-time college students can now apply for a scholarship that would make tuition free for hundreds of students at the community college in Philadelphia. The scholarship is designed to address many of the obstacles faced by students who are living in poverty and will also provide eligible students with funding for basic needs, including food and books. The previously announced Octavius Cato Scholarship is the result of a partnership between the college and the city of Philadelphia and will ultimately benefit 4,500 students over 5 years. It combines a last dollar funding model covering the outstanding tuition balance after all other federal and state scholarships and grants are applied, with wraparound support services to improve student success. Did I tell you I love the Community College of Philadelphia? There's something so special about that place from the first time I walked in there. We know that education can transform lives and that having a post-secondary credential is increasingly important for students to find family-sustaining employment, said college president Dr. Donald Guy Generals. But we also recognize that many of our students face challenges that prevent them from graduating or reaching their educational goals, ranging from transportation and childcare issues to food, housing, and financial insecurity. We are proud to be able to join the city to offer this opportunity to our students who make up a large part of Philadelphia's workforce and are integral to the city's success. In addition to receiving tuition free for up to 3 years, Cato scholars will receive up to $1,500 per semester for food, transportation, and books, support from a team of academic advisors, coaches, navigators, and other staff members dedicated to ensuring students stay on track, and connection to city services, such as benefits access, quality child care, and housing supports. The Cato Scholarship is part of our continued commitment to expand quality education for all, says Mayor Jim Kenney. As we look to recover from this unprecedented pandemic, we are equitably ensuring that all Philadelphians have the educational opportunities to secure quality jobs. The Cato Scholarship, which includes the support students need to gain credentials and be ready to enter the workforce quickly or transfer to a four-year institution. Not only will this initiative help lift more Philadelphians out of poverty, it will also drive inclusive economic growth in our city. Thank you, Mayor Kenney. Thank you. To be eligible for the Octavius Cato Scholarship, new first-time community college of Philadelphia students must be a Philadelphia resident for at least 12 months, have a high school diploma, Commonwealth diploma, or GED from any high school located in Philadelphia, public charter, private, or parochial, Pennsylvania State Charter, or homeschool. You must attend Community College of Philadelphia full-time, 12 credits per term. You must complete the FAFSA each year and document an expected family contribution below $8,000 and enter college ready or one level below college ready. In addition, the college will make accommodations for undocumented students who wish to apply. Oh, somebody get Dr. Guy Generals on the phone. This is so awesome. To remain eligible, students must maintain full-time enrollment, at least 12 credits per semester, and a 2.0 GPA at the end of each year, which is not hard, people. That's C. They must also complete annual FAFSA documentation. As they proceed through their college experience, students will continue to meet milestones of credit attainment, 20 credits in year one, 42 by the end of year two, and maintained Philadelphia residency. The scholarship is named after Octavius Cato, an educator and civil rights activist who lived in Philadelphia. As a free black man during the Civil War, he served as a soldier in the Union Army in one of the first volunteer companies in Philadelphia. Cato was shot and killed on Election Day in 1871 at the age of 32 by a white man who was committing violence and intimidating voters in black neighborhoods like Cato's. It is 2020. He was shot in 1871. It is 2020. He was shot in 1871. Education is the access to getting out of poverty. We now have all sorts of things happening where the district attorney is saying that if people are being intimidated at the voting polls, he will not accept it. It is 2021. 2020, oh Lord, 2020, and we're still going through this. 1871. 2020. I want that to sink in for you. And when we complain about what's not happening in the city, when you see stuff like this, programs like this that are offering free tuition, plus food, plus housing help, plus wraparound services, we must acknowledge and thank the people that worked to put it together. Dr. Donald Guy Generals and the City of Philadelphia Mayor Jim Kenney, on behalf of all the residents who will be able to take advantage of this program and the free tuition, I personally thank you. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
We demand Black Health now. The Black Health Matters Summit connects you to experts and advocates that will provide information on managing chronic disease and options to improve health outcomes. This virtual program will be held on Saturday, October 10th from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll focus on mental health, oncology, fibroids, prostate health, diabetes, and more. Register for free at blackhealthmatters.com. That's blackhealthmatters.com.
COVID-19 impacted a lot of things this year, including regular vaccination appointments. Vaccines help protect you and everyone around you, especially during flu season. Schedule an appointment with your healthcare provider today to make sure you and your children are vaccinated. Vaccines keep us safe, and they work. Skip the flu this year. Get your vaccination today. Let's stay protected together. For more information, visit health.pa.gov, paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
The EcoWord Environmental Justice Summit, Indigenous Peoples Day, Monday, October 12th from 10 a.m. till 7 p.m. In recognition of Indigenous Peoples Day, EcoWord and WURD Radio will host an Environmental Justice Summit to explore topics at the intersection of Black and Indigenous rights, income, and the environment. This day-long multimedia, virtual, and on-air event will bring together artists, thought leaders, and environmental justice advocates for groundbreaking conversations about climate change, land reclamation, water quality, and how it all converges in the Philadelphia region and beyond. It's the EcoWord Environmental Justice Summit, Indigenous Peoples Day, Monday, October 12th from 10 a.m. till 7 p.m. exclusively on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app, or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook. Presented in partnership with Bartram's Garden and From the Source Reporting Collaborative. The EcoWord Environmental Justice Summit is sponsored by PICO and the Alliance for Watershed Education and supported by the Lenfest Institute and the William Penn Foundation.
At PICO, we know one thing is certain. Times have changed. From kitchen classrooms to couch conference calls, searching for a new job, or new ways to keep your family connected. These changes have become a part of our reality. That's why our teams are working 24/7 to meet the needs of our communities. So no matter how much things change, you can depend on PICO to be there with the energy and help you need to power through. Learn more at pico.com.
He's back.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton.
Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton.
In times like these, we have to stay connected.
At a brand new time, Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight.
I'm excited that Keeping It Real returns to WURD.
Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight. This program is pre-recorded. No phone calls, please.
Keep it locked to WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURDradio.com.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. Before I introduce our next guest who is the president of Black Health Matters, I have to share this with you guys. So, when I first was diagnosed with diabetes last year, and I came on the air, I was sharing with you all, and got into the gym, did my work, lost 40 pounds, got off the diabetic medication, I reversed the diabetes. So I'm doing well, right? And so part of my doing well was exercising 6 days a week, and I happen to love nature so much, would drive across the country every year, not able to do it because of COVID, so I've been riding my bicycle up and down trails. I take 42-mile rides, 26-mile rides, 14-mile rides, rides, whatever. So I was killing the bicycle that I own. So I told you all the other day that I bought a brand new bicycle, right? Well, yesterday was the first time I'm riding the bicycle, and in order to get on the Schuylkill Trail, where we start on the trail, I have to go downhill to turn and make a right and go uphill. So I get on the bike. It's a 56-inch corner, right? And as soon as I got on the bike, one of the ladies said, "Do you even know where the brakes are, and do you know how to use it?" And then she said, "Do you know where the brakes are?" The bike starts flying. It rushes. I couldn't find the brake. I knew where the brakes were, but I couldn't lean down fast enough to get it. And the bike runs up into a compost pile. The bike flew up in the air. I flew up. I'm holding on to the brakes now that I just found. It was hilarious. It should have been recorded. But we made it on the trail, and we rode 26 miles yesterday, and that bike is super fast. Mike, it is super fast. Put the other bicycle to shame. So this weekend, my goal is to ride between 50, 55, 60 miles on just one day, on Saturday. So let's see if that works out. But I want to thank you all for continuing to encourage me in the process. And, you know, it also gives me peace of mind, because when I'm out there riding on the bicycle and walking in the trails on the weekends, it clears my mind and makes me feel better about what we have to deal with. It is the best thing. And sunshine is the best vitamin D for us. So let me move right along and get this going. Rosalind Y. Daniels is president and founder of Black Health Matters, the leading health promotion and disease management online platform serving the needs of customers, patients, and physicians. She is a tireless advocate for eliminating health disparities by improving the health literacy of African American consumers and patients. A former senior executive in broadcast and publishing, Daniels is a nationally respected health strategist with more than 20 years designing and implementing cross-cultural health education programs and initiatives. Daniel, I can see I'm already going to love Rosalind Y. Daniels. Daniels is disrupting the educational space for African American patients. In 2018, she launched the Black Health Matters Summit, which is a multi-platform initiative that features live TED Talk-inspired presentations by leading clinicians and health advocates. The Black Health Matters Summit draws thousands of impressions via original content produced, which includes videos pushed through social media and custom newsletters to its base of subscribers and fans. Black Health Matters has worked with Advai, Bristol Myers, Boston Scientific, Gilead, Bristol Myers Squibb, Sanofi, and other leading pharmaceutical companies. Understanding that African American men, thank you, this is going to be a great conversation, have the lowest life expectancy and highest death rate compared to men and women in other racial ethnic groups in the United States, Daniel launched Precision Oncology in partnership with Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. The goal of this program is to offer strategies needed to establish and strengthen the capacity of Kappa Alpha Psi chapters in promoting health and wellness among members and the greater community in which they live and work. Black Health Matters will host more than 5 precision oncology programs in 2020 at Kappa province meetings, with the goal of touching more than 60,000 Kappas within the program year. Daniel's other accomplishments include receiving the Digital Diversity Network Social Entrepreneur Award in 2007. She conceived and implemented 2 programs with original content adopted by the National Medical Association. 1, Prescription for Exercise, which motivates physicians and patients to discuss physical activity in the proper dosage to manage over 40 of the most common chronic health conditions effectively. And 2, the National Medical Association Breastfeeding Medicine Alliance, designed to increase rates of breastfeeding for optimal health of mothers and babies. These programs impact more than 3 million patients annually. Her work in increasing clinical trial participation was captured in the Wall Street Journal's Market Watch. Daniels recently wrote an op-ed for USA Today on health equality. Okay, I'm going to stop talking. She's the vice chair of the Links Incorporated of Bergen County Key Initiatives. All right. Okay. Danielle, yes, how are you? I can't wait to have this here conversation.
I know. We connect on several different levels. Absolutely.
Ms. Daniels, you know, it's funny because I just saw President of Black Health Matters, so I didn't read your thing until I read it just now. And so as I just decided to tell the story of me and the bicycle.
Yeah, oh, it's funny. Okay.
And so I've been trying to convince other people. So I have other folks who are riding with me. Lots of people don't want to get on the bicycle because they're afraid it's a two-wheeler. They may fall off. I get it. But I've also convinced a large contingency. You should see me on Sundays. We walk the Wissahickon trails 8, 9, 10 miles, right? Nice. And we go up in go up, and there's a large group of us that meets just about every Sunday to do this walk. And one of the ladies said to me last week she lost 17 pounds. The first day she came up there with me, she said, I know you better not take me up here again. But now she's up there every Sunday with me, right? And we climb. You know, I said, you don't have to lift weights. If you're climbing, you're working on your legs. If you're holding on to the side of the things, you're working on your arms. You're really getting yourself together. So thank you so much for joining us and choosing The Source to be the platform that you use to talk about this. What do we need to know about Black Health Matters, Ms. Daniels?
Oh, my goodness. There's so much to be said, right? We could talk about the pandemic of racism. Yes. We could talk about being Black and living in the age of COVID-19.
Lord.
We could talk about the fact that we did launch an initiative to help physicians understand they need to have the conversations with patients. Don't brush it off. When you talk about exercise, put it in a context that they can understand. Yes. Because that is something we can manage, right? Some things you can't do, right? We can't create a molecule that's going to heal our cancer, right? We can't, create drugs that are going to ease our glaucoma. But we can get out and walk.
Yes.
So there's just so much going on. It's a dynamic area in which we look to disrupt and innovate.
Yes. So, wow, I have so many questions for you. I did another show yesterday with a general practitioner, general doctor, a nurse practitioner, and a sexual abuse counselor. And one of the things we talked about, I literally did the show, honestly, because a friend of mine called me and said that she had been saying to her doctor that she was having chest pains for the longest time. They kept ignoring her. She went to the hospital. They told her heart was fine. She goes to the eye doctor that I've been talking about here on the show, and the eye doctor looks in her eyes and says, aren't you experiencing chest pains? Because I'm looking through your eyes and I can tell you have this artery blocked, that artery. And she started to cry, and she called me and she said, had you not told us about this doctor, I would have probably died of a heart attack after being told time and time again by physicians who would not listen to me that there was nothing wrong with me. Right? And so when you say race matters in healthcare, that is what I am talking about. What was the impetus for this organization that you founded?
So that's a great question. We actually, in the beginning of the year, we launched a new mantra for our organization, which is, I vote because Black health matters. Yeah. And so the impetus for the organization was that the Affordable Care Act was passed. We felt that was a milestone for African Americans because we could now have pre-existing conditions, and Lord knows we have a lot of pre-existing conditions, and not be turned down for health care. We could now have certain screenings on a regular basis and not have to say mammogram, groceries, mammogram.
Right.
So there's so many things that it opens the door for that put us on the road for a healthier life. So we decided that we knew that there just was kind of an apathetic mood about health. People really weren't inspired. So we felt that we wanted to become that North Star for African Americans when it comes to embarking on a health journey. And so we launched Black Health Matters in 2012, the year before the Black Lives Matter movement launched, to help African Americans learn how to be proactive about their health.
Wow. So, and how did you get involved with Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity?
Good question. That's a fun story, right?
Yes.
So, when I get together and I have drinks with my girlfriends, I always say, and they ask me, I say, well, I'm a sister of a certain age, and like you, I look good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
I carry well. I work out.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
eat right. My life is right. I look good. So now when I'm trying to look around and find a partner, the brothers who were my age, they were kind of broken down, right? You can't. If you smoke,
yes.
you're just asking for a lot of time.
Yes.
So when I was trying to date, the brothers didn't look quite as good as I did,
Yes.
right? And I do want somebody who's age appropriate.
Right.
That's just my preference.
Right.
So then I was like, well, what we going to do about it, right? The brothers said this, said that, diabetes, whatever. So we said, well, let's look at the stats. So we took a look at the health outcomes for African-American men, and we understood what was going on.
Right.
African-American men are one of the most medically underserved segments in the country.
Wow.
Women, we may not be in the best, but we may ask questions. We may see our GYN and overwork them once a year, right? We'll ask them all the questions and we might be good. But men, oh my God, asking them to go, get a checkup, follow up, follow through. I mean, there's research that guys, even when they go, they forget half the stuff they ask. So understanding that, we said if we are going to make impact with African American men, it has to be systemic change. And it has to be African American men helping each other versus someone from the outside coming in to help help us. So because Kappa had their grand chapter meeting in 2019 in Philly, and as you know, I have roots here in Philly, I was like, well, I can drive down there and kind of have a conversation. And so we were fortunate in that Kappa was very open to helping educate men about prostate cancer, clinical trial participation, and just being able to ask for help. So we did a program at their grand chapter meeting, and of course, WURD was there with us. They broadcast the whole program. So thank you, and thank you, Sarah Lomax-Reese. And the whole of the learning objectives were, number one, we wanted to be able to talk about prostate health. And then it was kind of interesting for us because as women, we were sitting in the back. We didn't want to be really visible. But a lot of guys just didn't have a basic understanding of what the prostate does, how it ages, all of that. So that was interesting. Then when they started to talk about prostate cancer, which guys need to be aware, one out of every 7 black men will have prostate cancer.
Wow.
It won't kill them.
Right.
But 1 in 7 will have it.
Yeah.
So they need to know. So we talked about that. We talked about prostate cancer, then the staging and the resources and what can be done and the exams, and very educational. But the last part of the discussion was about the social determinants of health.
Right.
Let's not point at each other and say, well, you should have known better and you should have done. That's not going to help. There are systemic racism and other constructs make it so very difficult for African American men to access care. It makes it difficult for them to raise their hands and say, I'm afraid. Can you help me? Help me understand. So there are many societal situations that they just do not feel comfortable in helping themselves.
Yeah. Can I also say this to you? They have a harder time taking care of themselves if they don't have a partner pushing them. To say, look, go get. I cannot tell you how many times I've heard a black man say, I would have never survived colon cancer if my wife didn't say, you're not going to the bathroom regularly, or your stool is the size of a pencil, go get checked out. Would not have gone. 35 years old with cancer. They don't want to go get their prostates checked because they're afraid that they will have erectile dysfunction after having the surgery. And understanding that as black women, we have empathy and understand that we will love you and care for you, and it is better for you, excuse me, to get the prostate exam and not wait until it gets to prostate cancer.
Right.
So there are all these things, and so one of the things, especially on this particular show, the Source, I sugarcoat nothing, right? I'm having very honest conversations with people and saying, look, let's talk about these things. Because if we don't talk about it, when I talked about diabetes last year and continue to talk about it, I could not tell you the amount of women and men that reached out to me and said, oh my gosh, I've had it for years, but I didn't want to talk about it. I was so embarrassed. Why are we so embarrassed about things we have no control over?
Right. I don't know. But that's why you do what you do, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Someone has to raise the question. Somebody's got to raise the flag and say it's okay.
Yes.
Let's talk.
Yes. So what do you want people to know about this organization, and how can we reach you? You know, if people want to have to get help, how do they go about doing all of that?
So just know that we are the leading health and wellness resource. So we have more than 2,000 pages with information on everything you want to know about health or chronic disease management.
Really?
So whether it be, you know, diabetes, cancer, we've got it all. We even talk about relationships because we have to look at health holistically, right?
Yes, yes.
So if you have negative thoughts, that's not really going to help your health outcomes either.
Right.
What we are actively doing, and we're so excited, is that on Saturday, we're having the Black Health Matters Summit. And it's our fall summit. Yeah.
Matters
and
Summit.
So it's open for registration. It's free.
Oh, okay. Give me, Mike, write this down and put it in the social media page, please. How do they register for it, madam?
Thank you. They go to www.blackhealthmatters.com, and it's a full day of health and wellness information. I have pulled together some of the leading Black physicians, scientists, and advocates from across the country that are going to come and bring it.
Yes.
These passionate clinicians are going to talk about disease management and drive it home. So we're going to talk about breast cancer.
Yes.
We're going to talk about prostate cancer, endometrial cancer. We're going to talk about health issues that don't get a lot of exposure, such as, but are prevalent to us, such as sickle cell and lupus. And then we're going to continue with our series on African American mental health. It's interesting that now I feel that we're more vulnerable, but we're also willing to affirm that we live in a traumatic, anxiety-ridden life in this country. And it's challenging. So we need strategies. So we have a psychiatrist and a psychologist that are going to talk to us about managing mental health.
I have a question.
Then on the lighter side, we're going to have a cooking demo for Food is Medicine with Dr. Lauren Powell. She's fabulous. We're also going to have a workout. You're going to enjoy this with the Guru of Abs.
That's right. Okay.
So you can get that flat stomach just sitting in your chair.
Yes, ma'am. Let me ask you this, and I'm just asking you this off the tip of my head, and you can tell me to go suck canal water. Would you be would you be willing to come on my show once a month to talk about a particular health concern?
I am. Yes, I will be happy.
Because as I'm talking to you, I don't think these segments are going to. I don't think these segments are, this segment is not going to be enough. And I love your energy. I love what you're bringing to the table. And I believe you would be able to bring guests, subject matter experts to talk about this. And then, as you continue to talk about Black Health Matters, I think you need a larger platform. And I'm willing to offer that if you're willing to come on at least once a month so we can talk about this. We have someone who would like to ask you. Oh, thank you. So just email Brianna when we get off the air, and we'll set it up most likely on a Monday, if you can do that, where you can call in and give us what we need to know. Okay?
That sounds great.
I have a man here who wants to ask you a question, but I have to take a quick break, and then when we come back, I'll let him ask you. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, hold on one second. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
But they've got the experience. I'm still in shock 3 or 4 years later that we're in this position now. Our democracy is at a pivotal point.
From the top, we don't trust our government. We see the trouble we're in economically. We've got 170,000 Americans dead, and yet this president will do anything he can to make it seem like things are better than they are.
I did more for the Black community than anybody with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln.
It's our responsibility. If we don't lead that effort to make things better, we can't ask other people to do it. There is no good reason not to vote.
Right, we need to have individuals that are in office like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
They are our best shot to take us forward. And that's what makes me incredibly hopeful, but we really do have to work for this thing.
To the thousands who did not vote, We need you to show up for our future and for our country.
You cannot sit on the sidelines. You got to get in the game.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Over 200,000 dead.
They are dying. That's true. It is what it is.
Millions unemployed.
It is what it is.
It doesn't have to be. Joe Biden has a plan to get us out of Trump's mess. Good-paying jobs, investing in black communities, and strengthening our health care. Trump might not care, but Joe Biden does. Make a plan to vote. Our lives depend on it.
Paid for by AFSCME People, which is responsible for the content of this ad. AFSCMEPeople.org. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
This is not a fad for us.
We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are
undeniably,
indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media.
WURD.
Keystone First VIP Choice HMO SNP Dual Eligible Special Needs Plan has a 4 out of 5 star rating and is one of the highest rated Medicare plans in the region. Keystone First VIP Choice and you are better together. If you live in Philadelphia, Bucks, Chester, Montgomery, or Delaware County, and you have both Medicare and Medicaid, choose the Medicare plan that is working to help you get better care. Enjoy extra benefits at no cost to you with Keystone First VIP Choice. You get benefits like dental, vision, and transportation to and from your medical appointments. They also cover a fitness membership to a gym of your choice, $150 toward over-the-counter pharmacy items. There's no copay for doctor's visits. They offer a large provider network, a great prescription plan, dental coverage, and even eyeglasses. Plus, you don't have to wait for open enrollment. You can change your coverage every quarter. Keystone First VIP Choice. The name you trust, the service you deserve. Call Keystone First VIP Choice today at 1-877-686-1760 or visit KeystoneFirstVIPChoice.com.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDRadio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you are just joining us, you have missed a plethora of information, people. We were talking about estate planning and wills and how you can write a will here in Philadelphia that does not need to be notarized. And we had all this great information from Olivia Stoner, Esquire. And you can reach her at ohstoner@aol.com. And then I have Rosalind Y. Daniels, president of Black Health Matters, on the line with us talking about a phenomenal conference that's coming up on Saturday. That is free. And in order for you to do that, I just put it in the social media page. You go to www.blackhealthmatters.com. And it's com or org. I believe it was com. .com. Okay. And so, Woody, let me get Woody on the line so he can ask his question. Woody, what's your question, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Well, the short statement I'm going to say is I fell on my bike, too. I just wanted you to know, I don't know what's going on with us, but you're falling at the same time I'm falling. You get up at the same time. I dust myself up and got back up. If I got one of the older bikes, you'll probably fly past me. But it was sturdy enough that it kept running. Nothing bent, nothing went out of whack, and I was able to finish my 46 miles. So I did that. But anyway, I just wanted to say I'm so proud of this young lady. I just wanted to introduce her to my barbershop because I would love her to come through because so many brothers talk about these issues of health. It's unbelievable. Have you heard of Dr. Avery August out of Cornell University, Dr. Daniels? Well, he actually discovered something called epigenetics. Are you familiar with that?
No. Tell me.
Epigenetics is a disease that comes from the past. 400 years of that chattel slavery. Can you imagine what the men went through? At that time, the women didn't go through as much, but then dealing with police and dealing with all of the different things that go on every single day. Georgie Woods, the guy with the goods back in the day, I don't know if you remember him. If you know anything about Philly, you should know. Frank Rizzo and all of this harassment with the police. This is nothing new for black males, which made it very difficult in the schools for them to attend and deal with what they had to deal with. This will, once you look up Avery August, I would love you I'd love to talk to you. I'll give you my number, 215-879-9935 here at the barbershop. I won't be able to come on Saturday because that's the most busiest day for the shop. so I have to be in here. But boy, would I like to do that. But I would love to have some of your information and share with you other ailments and diseases, even the Vietnam War. A lot of these guys had Agent Orange, and it's just horrible what they go through with that. But the mental and genetic passing of this going through hundreds of years, 400 years of chattel slavery, it passes down. This is what Dr. Avery August says with epigenetics, through your blood, into your genes.
Yeah. So, Woody, she is going to come on every month now to talk to us more regularly.
Right.
And as it applies to black male health, I really want her to do this.
Yes, and
so
I really want her to still stay in contact because there's so much more I would like her to check out. My website is Barbershop Talk, letters HFD, like HarryFrankDavid.org. Please contact me by phone because I'm one of the older guys that still look good.
You know what? Goodbye, Woody. You are not on my radio show flirting. Goodbye, Woody. Bye-bye. Can you believe that? They are something else. Woody is something else. All right, Derek from Colorado. Derek, are you there?
Yes, I am.
How are you?
Ask you a question. I just want to ask you several questions and comments. I did my first thing is my first comment is I did my physical.
Yes.
And I did my blood work and everything else like that. Everything came out well. He said my A1C was like a tenth over, real quick over 5.6 is 5.7.
Okay.
He said, wants me to lose about 7 pounds. And the other question I have for you is what kind of bicycle do you have? That's one question.
Man, Derek.
Derek. You have a mountain bike. Another question is, you know something, let me see what other question is. What I'm finding is that are you running the same set of questions? I had some cousins who said, you know something, I said, you know, you guys need to work on your health. You need to do this. You mind your own frickin' business. It doesn't use that word. And so, they said, you know, that's part of being black is having diabetes, having stroke, and having heart attacks, and you can't do anything about it.
Right.
And I said, well, it runs in the family. It runs in the family because you guys are eating the same food.
Right. Right. So, Derek, let me answer your questions quickly, right? Because I have people now. Is that Dr. Ayla? Yeah, all right. So I got to take Dr. Ayla, but hold on one second. Let me answer the question quickly for you. And Daniel, don't hang up. Okay? Miss Daniels, don't hang up. Derek, let me tell you. I started out with a rally. So if you want to just ride regularly, just, 2, 3, 4 miles, maybe up to 5, 6 miles, you can do that. But I was finding that I really enjoyed cycling so much that I had ended up buying a Kona. Lord have mercy. The Kona took my colon. It's expensive. It's expensive, but it is absolutely worth it because once I flew off of it from camp, not being able to find the brakes, I was flying. I mean, literally was flying. So it depends on the level of cycling that you want to do. You can start with a regular bicycle and then work your way up, right? I want a road bike too, but that's going to cost me about $8,000. Nobody's spending that kind of money on a bicycle right now. But thank you so much for calling, Derek. Let me take Dr. Ayla because I know she has a program going on at 3 o'clock. Okay? You're quite welcome, sir. Call back again, okay? All right, bye-bye. Daniels, don't hang up. Dr. Ayla.
I'm here.
Hi. So, Rosalind Daniels, have you met Dr. Ayla Stanford yet?
No, I have not.
OMG. OMG. The woman that started the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium. Have you heard of her?
Yes.
This is her.
Correct.
You should. I'm telling you, she's amazing, right? Dr. Ayla, I know you got to start this program at 3 o'clock. Tell us quickly what's happening and where it's happening, please.
Okay. Well, thank you always, Andrea, for having me on.
You're welcome.
So today is our inaugural flu shot day, Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium. We are at Hunting Park Recreation Center. So if you're right at Broughton Hunting Park where the McDonald's and the Walgreens is, if you head down Hunting Park, we are in the park.
You're in the park.
We are in the park. You will see our banners. You'll see all of our ladders with all of our signs. And we are doing COVID testing for coronavirus. We are giving a free flu shot. And the reason why the flu shot is so important this year, even if you've never gotten one in your life, is this is cold and flu season. It's October. It's officially that time. And what is for you to get coronavirus on top of the flu when we know that the flu can be prevented or if you get it, it may not be as severe.
Right.
We want to protect. Yes, go ahead.
So here's my question for you. I have two questions for you. One, can I come and get my flu shot right after I leave the show today at 4?
Yes, you may.
Okay.
We will be out there until 7 p.m. The city of Philadelphia has lights for us out there.
Okay.
I know it gets dark 6:30.
Okay.
We will be out there until 7. Yes.
All right. So I'm challenging WURD listeners, if you're close by, come meet me out there to get your flu shot, please. I know how you feel about this. I know it's crazy. You feel a little insane because you think you can get the flu from getting the flu shot. Please tell them that they cannot get the flu from getting the flu shot. Dr. Ayla, please.
That is correct. It is. Some people will have some soreness in your arm, okay, some soreness in your arm, which is why we almost always put it in your non-dominant arm or the hand you don't write with side, right? That soreness goes away. Sometimes people have some redness. You know, occasionally people may feel a little tired or something, but not a full-blown flu illness.
Right.
No.
Okay. So give the address again, please.
It's Hunting Park Recreation Center. Let me get it's Broughton Hunting Park, and the exact address is 1101 West Hunting Park, 19140.
Okay, I will see you. You'll see me no later than 4:30 this afternoon. So I'm encouraging WURD listeners to please come out there, come say hello, come get your flu shot, come get your COVID-19 testing, because it is important. Dr. Ayla, please meet Rosalind Y. Daniels, who is the president of Black Health Matters, who's running a Black Health Summit this weekend. I can't wait to connect the both of you.
Lovely.
Yes, and I want Dr. Sanford to speak at our next summit.
Well, look at that.
So much. Thank you for this introduction. I've been looking for her contact.
Oh, you called the right place, honey. The mother knows everybody in Jesus. Dr. Ayla, I know you've got to go to start your right now, so I'll see you at about 4:30. And Rosalind, thank you so much, Dr. Ayla. See you later. And Rosalind Daniels, thank you so much. Please reach out to Brianna, and she will get you set up so you can be in here once a month or twice a month, depending on how you feel, because that is how I started with Dr. Ayla. She came in here one day to be interviewed. I kept her on. She's was coming every week. She was coming on to talk about COVID-19. Then she started the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium, and the rest is history. Okay?
That's right.
So I want to thank you for being a plethora of great information, and we will talk soon. Okay?
And thank you for your spirit.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You are listening. I feel so good. I love when we can help people and a plan comes together. Mother's going to get her shots, honey, her flu shot. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
The time is now to put an end to the chronic incompetence of Donald Trump and his League of Liars. Donald Trump makes a mockery of the institution of the presidency. He's polarized our country, and his dangerous policies must not continue. Joe Biden has the character, empathy, and experience to lead us through these challenging times. He helped lead the nation out of the 2008 financial crisis into the longest period of economic growth in our history, and he can do it again. As president, he will heal divisions and unite us around the shared values of justice. He'll create opportunities for quality education and good-paying jobs, and he'll build on the Affordable Care Act, not tear it down. While Donald Trump thinks coronavirus and climate change are a hoax, Joe Biden already has a coronavirus recovery plan and a strategy to create more jobs while also tackling the climate crisis. Vote for a president who will stand on the right side of history. Vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Paid for by Black PAC and Priorities USA Action. BlackPAC.com and PrioritiesUSAAction.org, which are responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Recovery starts with a call. Pennsylvania's Substance Use Disorder Hotline is staffed by real people who are trained to help. They're here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They'll get you or your loved one into treatment regardless of your access to insurance. If you or someone you know is suffering from addiction, call 1-800-662-HELP. Recovery starts with a call.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
It's the conclusion of Health and Wellness Week with Tiffany Bacon. Tonight from 7 till 9 p.m. on WURD Radio.
Join Tiffany as she wraps up Health and Wellness Week with a conversation about emotional wellness, including the intersection of trauma, stress, nutrition, and weight. Don't miss it.
Health and Wellness Week.
This Monday through Thursday from 7 till 9 p.m. Hosted by Tiffany Bacon. Exclusively on WURD Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Streaming live on WURDradio.com, the WURD Radio app, and watch live on WURD TV via Facebook.
Just one more step. You got it.
You're doing great. This is the sound of a nationally ranked top rehabilitation hospital, home to the largest collection of robotics in the United States, where we continually exceed patient expectations, because no injury is too severe or too minor for our care.
There you go.
This is the sound of success. Moss Rehab. Challenge accepted.
This
Tune in Saturdays
WURD
from 2 p.m. to 3
Radio.
p.m.
96.
Empire Capital and Consulting founder Mark Palmer's show titled Black Money, Black Power. This show centers around black money and how black power is derived from money. Tune in every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Black Money, Black Power. Hosted by Mark Palmer.
Home of the Happy Hour. With Sincerely Sarita. This is WURD Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Streaming live at WURDradio.com and on the WURD Radio app.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. I am having such a good time. Well, I have a good time every time I come in here, but I love it. I get an extra adrenaline push when I recognize that the things that I'm putting in front of you are going to help save lives, right? I am on a one-woman mission to help us to get healthier. I'm not telling you to stop eating your McDonald's and Burger King and all of that stuff yet. I'm asking you to just let it go a little bit, right? Instead of having it 5 days a week, have it 4 days a week. Then work it down to 3 days a week until you work your way out of it. But I really want us to start trying to figure out how to cleanse our systems, because even if you don't do a day of exercising, if you just give that up and soda, oh my gosh, the exponential difference that you will see. And then if you want to go walking, you know, I do nothing halfway, nothing halfway. And so, you know, if you want to come walking, hiking, or you want to come ride your bike, you don't have to ride 26 miles like I do, or 46 miles, or whatever the heck I'm doing on any given day. It just feels good to me. You can ride 5 miles and then turn back. Right? But be consistent. What I say to my folks is be consistent. If you stay consistent, then we'll be all right. I want to read something to you before Sadie calls in. Philadelphia sues for the right to control guns. And then I want to read something to you from the Obama Foundation. The city of Philadelphia is suing Pennsylvania so that it can enact stronger gun safety laws and curb the epidemic of violence roiling the city. This was written by NPR, Layla A. Jones, and Aaron Moselle today from WHYY, PBS. Philadelphia is asking a judge to invalidate a set of regulations under the Pennsylvania Uniform Firearms Act so it and other municipalities are free to pass their own measures aimed at curbing gun violence. City officials gathered at Germantown's Happy Hollow Recreation Center to announce the action, a location chosen due to historical rates of gun violence in the area, said Patricia Gillett, spokesperson for Council President Darrell Clark. The simple reality is what we're asking for from the Commonwealth is completely reasonable, Clark said on Monday. Several gun control advocacy groups are also listed as plaintiffs in the suit. If state lawmakers, you're too loud, Mike, you're too loud. If state lawmakers are going to abdicate their responsibility and their duty to save the lives of constituents through common sense policy, then they need to let their elected officials step up to the local level to do that duty. Adam Garber, executive director of Ceasefire PA. The suit comes as Philadelphia reached a dark milestone of at least 366 murders this year, surpassing the number of victims for all of 2019 with nearly 3 months to go. A decade-long high. Homicide is now one of the leading causes of death for black men in Philly, Health Commissioner Dr. Thomas Farley said Wednesday. adding that the city sees more deaths from gun violence than from diabetes. It's unclear if any of the bills local lawmakers want to pass would actually fix the gun violence epidemic. Efforts like creating gun-free zones in municipal parks and banning assault weapon sales have had varying effects in other cities trying to reverse spikes in shootings, but Philly hasn't yet gotten a chance to try. Members of the General Assembly have even gone so far to even refuse to have serious discussions about developing laws that would address the gun violence costing Pennsylvanians their lives, said Garber of Ceasefire PA. The lawsuit hammers home this point. It argues the Pennsylvania legislature has repeatedly prevented municipalities from enacting sensible policies aimed at curbing gun violence. It argues this violates not just residents' constitutional rights to enjoy and defend life and liberty, but also the legislature's body obligation to maintain order and preserve the safety and welfare of all citizens. The suit also says the General Assembly has refused to pass, and in some cases even discuss, evidence-based gun safety legislation at the state level, exposing residents to direct risks of gun violence, in particular, residents in low-income Black and Hispanic communities. A new legal strategy is being used this time around, according to City Solicitor Marcel Pratt, with arguments based around the state-created danger doctrine. Wow. It's relatively novel, but it's based on a well-settled law, Pratt said on Wednesday. In addition to the Commonwealth, the suit names the Republican Assembly leaders. The defendants have not yet responded to a request for comment on the lawsuit. Suing the Commonwealth is a dramatic measure, but it has been tried before. The city sued the state in 2007 for failure to act on gun safety legislation, but the state's Commonwealth Court concluded that the city did not have the right to institute its own gun control measures because of existing preemption imposed by the legislature. And this is why voting matters, right? Then I want to share something with you that came from the Obama Foundation, as I saw in my email, and it's called Inside the Life of a Violence Eruptor. During the especially grueling summer, we spent a month capturing the glimpse of Tracy Lee's day-to-day life as a violence interrupter, a pastor, and a supermom. Across several weeks, we witnessed the faith, love, and unyielding hope this young Black woman brought to her community in Englewood, where she's worked to make our city safer. This is in Chicago. For decades, the south side of Chicago neighborhood of Englewood has suffered from underinvestment and systemic discrimination, leading to disparities in access to health care, education, and employment, fostering the conditions for gun violence to occur. Most gun violence in Englewood is rooted in retaliation and in fighting between small factions, and since COVID-19 struck, the neighborhood is facing a rise in violence mirroring trends across the country. Pastor Tracy, along with her outreach workers and victim advocates at Target area, are fighting back with hope. The organization plays a key role in diffusing tensions and preventing violence through community service and data-driven response. I'm giving you a solution, y'all, as you're suing the state, because there are people right here in the city of Philadelphia that's doing stuff like this. We just need to listen to them and pay attention to what they're doing. We spoke with Pastor Tracy and captured photos of her and her work from August 18th to September 8th, 2020. Over the course of the month, she and her team responded to 10 shootings, 7 of which happened in just a 24-hour period. Of those 7, 5 were connected with an initial spark of violence, leading to 4 subsequent retaliatory shootings. For Pastor Tracy, the work can often feel like an uphill battle, but the moments of peace add up and give her strength to persevere. And so I am going to finish reading this, but I have my next guest on. And let me take Dwayne. Dwayne, are you there?
Yes.
How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Okay.
You was talking about the bicycles, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I ride mine from Philly to the Phoenixville.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that makes you feel good, too.
It does. Isn't it wonderful?
Yes, it takes you like 2 hours and a half.
Yes, just about. Just about.
Yeah, I ride from Norristown. It hits the Norristown. Then after that, Norristown to Valley Forge.
So you ride from Norristown to Phoenixville?
No, I ride from Philadelphia to Phoenixville.
So that's what I
around
thought.
City Hall. I stop around City Hall.
You better go on with it. Yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so
Can
proud
I
of
say
you.
one more thing before I go?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, you know what? I hate to say this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see Joe Biden doing anything either.
Well, you know what? He considers himself a transitional president. He would be the oldest president we've ever had in history, and so he's not planning to stay. So pay attention to what's going on. Don't worry about Joe Biden right now. Just get the other one out, all right? Just let's go vote. and do what we need to do, and then we'll get the other piece going. Okay?
All right.
Keep riding that bicycle, man. I hope I see you on the trail one day.
Yeah, I do it in the mornings. I do like I start like 8 o'clock.
You see, by the time you start, I'm out. I'm done. I'm much earlier. Marvel's got work to do, so I'm coming back by 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I start right around that, and I get up there around 11. I don't want to go too early because the stores are closed.
Yes, yes.
So when I go up there, I like to get a soda or something like that, and water.
So how you gonna get water there? Get water. Don't get no soda now.
Well, I need the energy, because when I get there,
okay. All right, so here's what I'm going to... Get something called energy blocks. It's a little gel thing that you can eat and drink it with water. It's sweet, and you will not have the feeling of soda, but you'll get what you need for the energy. And then carry something protein with you. I have a spoon of peanut butter, and I let it melt in my mouth, and I let that... Because that energy will carry you. Leave the soda alone. Trust Mother, okay?
Yeah, but it makes me feel good.
I know it does, but come on now. Leave the soda alone, Derek. Work with Mother here. Work with Mother. All right, sir.
Okay.
Talk to you soon.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
All right, bye-bye. You too. All right, Sadie Sarr, social justice advocate and human rights activist, is the founder of African Bureau for Immigration and Social Affairs. She's on to talk to us today about life in the diaspora. Sadie, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
How are you, darling? What a good afternoon. What do you have for us today?
Well, just a little update of the work that we have been doing on the fact that we have been able last week to celebrate the freedom of 3 of our members that were able to bail out from the Eloy Detention Center. And when we talk about what's going on in this detention center, we are also talking about the different rules, administrative rules that have come about. One of them is the continuous and total application of DNA collections.
They're collecting DNA?
Yes, they decided that now they're going to apply it. So it was a rule that was proposed. They have been using Detroit as an, I don't even know how to say the word.
Yeah, I know, Sadie. It's a lot, isn't it? It's a lot. Take a deep breath, my sister. Take a deep breath.
Yeah, they tried it in Detroit for a couple of months, and they have been doing DNA sample collections. And the rule will require DNA sample for both people who are arrested by the federal agents or by immigration authority.
So why are they collecting the DNA evidence, though? To what end are they doing this?
So the Trump administration is saying that it will allow to have a better knowledge and a better biometrics of who the immigrants are, and that is going to allow them to really know who is doing what. And part of it is to say, well, when, for example, parents come at the border and say, that's my child, do you want to really know if they are a child or not, right? So putting it under the eye of, it's security, and but it's just raises serious privacy concerns, which is like, why are you collecting DNA of migrants who are detained by authorities, and why are you arguing that it's going to help you detect fraud and solve cold case?
Yeah.
How is that helping you detect fraud and solve fraud?
I strongly suspect that decades from now, we're still going to be learning the nefarious deeds that have taken place in these last 4 years. And even some of it in the Obama administration. Let's just be clear about it, right? Against people who are... Because why are we collecting the DNA samples? Why are we giving people forced hysterectomies? Why are children being put in cages? Why have we been detaining? Why are there so many ICE detention centers in this country? And a lot of people have been locked up in those detention centers for years before Trump even came into office. So let's just talk about it and be about it if we're going to say it, right? To what end? Why are we locking folks up?
That has been the question. The question also of limiting the proposed rule of limiting the entrance of students of certain countries.
So they're limiting the entrance of students of certain countries. And what are those certain countries? I can almost guess.
Half of them in Africa.
Half of them in Africa.
half of them are in Africa. So the question was, okay, we have looked at the number, and we have noticed that these countries have the highest level of overstayers. Who is overstaying in this country is students who come for a 2-year or 4-year degree, and they don't leave after that. So now we're going to limit all these countries' students for getting a visa for 4-year study in the U.S. Because we cannot stop them from overstaying. We're just going to stop them from coming in. And all the West African countries are in the list, and a couple of other Muslim countries also. So which is drawing the conversation about, okay, who is allowed really to come into here, who is allowed really to move and seek any opportunities. And what we have been seeing is that these rules are just limiting most of the black countries, some brown countries, and Muslim countries. So the conversation is like, okay, your proposed rule to overhaul the student visa is looking at a specific continent, and that makes us ask the question about, how does the conversation of systemic racism and so on and so forth, how do you see it play out in the field of immigration, and what do you see?
All right, so hold on one second, Sadie, because as you're talking to me, it has come back to me clearly. There were conversations in the last, and literally this has been going on for about a decade now, that in the next few years, Caucasians will become a minority in this country. Hispanics, Latinos, people of color, black and brown people, the numbers are growing exponentially. They had devised a plan in the Trump administration, and I will find the articles that talked about it, and I believe it's in the Washington Post, because that is where I follow most of my news, the Washington Post and the New York Times, where they devised a plan to limit immigration, limit who comes into the country, so that they can start to build up, for lack of a better expression, the white race, right? Unfortunately, there are plenty of white people who are marrying black folks and marrying brown folks and marrying, Asian folks. So there's no way to completely keep the Caucasian race as pure as some of these people want. And they put it under the guise of, we want to make our America great again, or we want to stop having immigrants. And they lied for extended periods of time and said the immigrants are the ones that are creating the most crimes. And there is empirical data that shows immigrants not only are not creating the majority of the crimes, they stay under the radar because they're so diggity dang happy just to be in the country and to have a job and to do right and to be in the land where they can get the other opportunities.
And even that, when they published the article and the proposed rules, an article has came about explaining that more than 1 million of international students in the U.S. that are estimated to have at least, I would say, $41 billion economic impact, and account for 5.5% of all the students enrolled in higher education in this country. It's like, how can you really say that they have a negative impact?
They don't. And if there's $41 billion of economic impact on the country, these students, if the administration works to keep them out, that is then going to impact the colleges and universities that are here, who will then have to raise the cost of being able to attend, which will then impact the people that live here regularly in these United States. You see the domino effect?
No, definitely. And I think these are conversations that we're trying to have publicly. And for me, it's like to highlight, really, when we say, hey, pay attention, hey, the immigration rules, proposed rules are very anti-black. It's like the country that you are talking about are the one that disproportionately impact the students from Africa and to a lesser degree part of Asia, right? But it's like these are students that also, when they come here, have a harder time because they have less access to opportunities to find work, to do this, to do that. And $1 worth 500 of my money in CFA any other day. If my parents had to pay for school, we already know what school costs here. Even if my parents had the means, it's going to take me longer to complete a degree that I'm paying for than somebody else that is in the U.S. and have access to any kind of support, which is, let us be honest, very meager, because we know the amount of student debt that people already in America have to deal with. But how do you think that is normal and okay for us to ask to an international student who comes from a country who is less economically inclined to be able to fulfill in the same amount of time, something that Americans here are having a hard time economically to fulfill because of how expensive school is.
It's just another way to keep folks out. It's just another way to keep folks out. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. And so for those who can vote, we tell them to go vote and exercise their right to vote. And we will continue to highlight these issues and conditions that are happening across these United States. It's not going to get any better if we don't talk about them, right? And continue to highlight and bring a light to the dark spaces where people are trying to hide.
Yeah, and we just, for me, it's also letting folks know that, we really need to be honest that we are sending so many messages to immigrants. And this one particularly to international students and exchange visitors is that the talent they have, the work ethic, the diverse perspective, their economic contribution are not welcome to the United States.
Yeah.
And how can we as one of the countries who say, hey, come here, because we are one of the best countries, we're leading this, we're leading that, also sending these mixed messages where we're saying, oh, we come from Africa, we don't like your talent. We're not welcome here. And that is the hardest spot that we really need to address. And it has been difficult. It has been difficult, and we're hoping that this election, like you said, can change something. There is so many reasons and so many other issues that are at stake, and hopefully we'll be able to be more involved and get the folks in the diaspora who are here also to be involved and know that their voices are important. They really want, any changes to happen. We cannot just let this job to be only at the hands of the American citizen, born here, per se, or whatever, because it's impacting us. It's impacting every rule. It's impacting every aspect of our life. We cannot just sit and say, well, it's not, we just only 5 or 6% of us, how can we change?
Right. So
but if our 5 and 6% add to another 13%, who add to another 12 and 15%, it becomes a big number.
Yeah. Sadie, I am out of time, but
No problem.
Sadie Sarr, social justice advocate and human rights activist, is the founder of the African Bureau for Immigration and Social Affairs. She, and along with Nia Mal, comes on every Thursday at 3 o'clock to discuss life across the diaspora. Next week, my sister, I'd like you to talk about solutions on how people can get, help beyond when they're going through this. Where can we find, help for them? Okay?
Definitely.
All right, my sister. Take it easy.
You're welcome.
All right, bye-bye. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
But they've got the experience.
I'm still in shock 3 or 4 years later that we're in this position now. Our democracy is at a pivotal point.
From the top, we don't trust our government. We see the trouble we're in economically. We've got 170,000 Americans dead, and yet this president will do anything he can to make it seem like things are better than they are.
I did more for the black community than anybody with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln.
It's our responsibility. If we don't lead that effort to make things better, we can't ask other people to do it. There is no good reason not to vote.
Right, we need to have individuals that are in office like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
They are our best shot to take us forward.
And that's what makes me incredibly hopeful, but we really do have to work for this thing.
To the thousands who did not vote, we need you to show up for our future and for our country.
You cannot sit on the sidelines. You got to get in the game.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Hello? Hey, you've been on my mind, so I'm just calling to check in.
Oh, we're holding up well here in Pennsylvania. Just trying to stay safe and figuring out if we should vote in person or by mail. We like going to the polls.
Yeah, you never miss an election.
And we're not missing this year either, and neither should you. But which way is the safest?
Well, remember that valuable information you got from AARP about COVID-19? Mom even had me read it.
Yeah, that was good info.
AARP has up-to-date voting information for 50-plus voters in every state. It's right there at aarp.org/election2020.
Oh, I got it. aarp.org/election2020. I love having the answers before your mama.
Pops, you know what happens when you try to show out.
Yeah, you probably right about that.
Always Best Care is a great place to work. Flexibility,
Leadership.
Purpose.
great benefits.
There's never a dull moment.
Diversity, inclusion, compasión.
We love our jobs. If you're looking for a great place to work, you can join our compassionate Team Green. You can apply online at teamgreenabc.com or call 267-909-9248.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
This is not a fad for us.
We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are
Undeniably,
indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media.
WURD.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. Madeline Alverbrook, are you there?
Yes.
How are you?
I am well. I'm doing very well.
What can I do for you, madam?
I called in when I heard the brother saying about he didn't know about voting.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder where he lives. Because he lives in Philadelphia.
What brother are you talking about,
Right,
madam?
yes, the brother who just before the last lady.
I can't remember now who that was.
But it was something like he don't know who he's going to vote for.
I know we don't. Okay. Well, you know, there are a few people who said that. So
I know they are. I know they are. And those are the people who cause us to lose elections where we don't have United States senators.
Yes.
We need. Let me just give it to you this way: the United States Senate. That's for the whole country.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That group has more than we have.
Yes.
So when we have votes on issues in the Congress, who right now has more them than Republicans, we get the bills together and we put them up. So let's see, put them up. The money we got for the first group went. Okay. In the second group, it never happened because the Republicans won't let anything come through there now. There's nothing coming through. And every election is important. Every one of them has something to do with your household, from the womb to the tomb.
I agree. Agreed,
and I'm telling you, in my 87 years, I have, from the time I could vote at 21 back then, I never missed a vote. And that's how important I think. In fact, my mother and father used to put on their Sunday go-to meeting to go to vote. That's how important it was to them.
All right.
Because when you don't have no say in it, it's only for the people who take it serious.
Yes, ma'am.
And our children need to go to the polls with us and need to understand. Because they don't teach civics in school no more.
Yes, ma'am.
They don't know that everything you got in your house, from the water, how much potatoes cost, how much shoes cost, everything is political.
Yes.
And when people say it don't make a difference, it's because they don't know.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Thank
I'm
you
praying that everybody will please listen to these ads.
Yes, ma'am.
Maybe WURD might want to play some kind of music when they get ready to run an ad so that people can stop and listen.
Yes. Yes. All right.
Darling.
All right. Thank you so much,
appreciate you giving me the opportunity.
Yes, ma'am. You have a good one, okay? All right. Bye-bye. You know, I forgot to read those 4 questions, those 4 voting questions for the ballot questions today. Can you find that for me? Just ask them to make a copy of that for me so I can read it before I get off the air. Right now, we have Dr. Marcella McCucci. I hope I said this correctly. Curatorial Fellow in Women's History at the Museum of the American Revolution. This segment is brought to you by Comcast NBC Universal, and it's around the 19th Amendment as we celebrate the 100th anniversary of the women's right to vote. Dr. Marcella McCucci is on today to discuss the Museum of the American Revolution's new exhibition, When Women Lost the Vote, A Revolutionary Story, 1776 to 1807. This exhibit dives into the period when women and free people of color were legally entitled to vote in New Jersey. Good afternoon.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Did I say your last name correctly?
You did.
Ah, well, look at that. My hooked on phonics continues to work. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So tell me about this exhibit, When Women Lost the Vote, the Revolutionary Story, and where is it being held?
Yep, so it opened on October 2nd at the Museum of the American Revolution on 3rd and Chestnut in Philly.
Oh.
And yeah, so right down in Center City. And, you know, we really wanted to do an exhibition that would kind of focus on the celebration of the passage of the 19th Amendment, so looking at that 100-year anniversary and doing something to commemorate that. And at the museum, we really wanted to kind of push back the kind of traditional trajectory of the women's suffrage movement, which for most people, you know, begins in 1848 with the Seneca Falls Convention,
right?
And, you know, really culminates in 1920. And for us, it's a really unique opportunity to tell this much earlier story of women's political activism in the 18th and early 19th centuries by looking at, the little-known period under the New Jersey State Constitution, as you mentioned, when women and also free people of color exercised the right to vote for that 31 years from 1776 to 1807.
How come I never heard of this? Who knew we could vote for 31 years before they shut us down?
I get that question a lot. We're hoping that it's going to sneak back into some school curriculums, given the 100-year anniversary this year. But, I mean, I myself didn't even learn about this until I was in grad school as a women's historian. So I think that it's definitely a story that deserves a little bit more attention than it's gotten.
Yes, because we have altered history at this point, right? If from 1776 to 1807, those 31 years, women and women of color, people of color were legally entitled to vote in New Jersey, then it's not in the history, because when I look up anything about the 19th Amendment, I don't see this.
Right. And, I mean, part of that is because a lot of historians have kind of referred to this as the New Jersey exception. So looking at this as kind of a brief moment, you know, this kind of fleeting moment. It was only 31 years. For us at the museum, however, we're like, oh, well, this is 31 years. This is a generation, if not two or three, of women who were able to go to the polls and exercise this right.
That's so interesting. So the exhibit opened on October 1st? 2nd, on October 7th, and will run until?
It runs until April 25th, 2021.
Oh, wow. Okay, that gives me a little bit of time in these COVID times. April 25th, 2021. And is there a cost to get into the museum?
There is, and everything is located right on our website, too. We're actually selling tickets right now so that we can, you know, kind of bring people in by time so that we're not, you know, so that we're abiding by COVID restrictions right now, of course, and spacing people out appropriately. So yes, absolutely. You can go on to our website. You can buy tickets. You can also look at some of our programs, many of which are also virtual right now. So it's a really great opportunity to be able to, you know, get involved and stay engaged with what's going on with the exhibition in case you can't actually make it down in person to see it.
Right. What's the website?
It's www.amrevmuseum.org.
AMREV?
Yep.
AmRev Museum. I'm going to ask Mike to put it on .org. Okay. And what are the hours of the museum?
Right now, we are 10 to 5, and we're open Thursday through Sunday.
Oh, so that people have an opportunity on the weekends. Thursday through
Absolutely.
Sunday.
Yep. And then we're also open on holidays. So, for instance, like Columbus Day, we'll be open for that as well.
Okay. All right. I just want to make. And people, you say if they can't get down, there's a way to see it online?
Yep. We actually, in fall 2020, so in the next couple months, we'll be launching a full digital exhibition for When Women Lost the Vote as well. So for anyone that can't make it, they can go to the website, and that will be free and accessible to the public. And they'll be able to do kind of a digital walkthrough of what you might see in the galleries.
I asked you that question because I'm really hoping that the educators listening will then introduce their students to this, right? For civics, history classes,
Absolutely.
Yes. Even if it's a minimal cost for the students to access it online, this is history we should never negate, right? And so
and it's actually all free. So
and that's all free, right? In the meantime, and for those of us who can go and see the exhibit, that's something else. But for the children in schools, if we really want to shift history and have children question, then we want to show them the New Jersey exception. Is New Jersey the only state that had 31 years of voting before they shut it down again?
It is. So there were other states that had kind of gender or racial neutral language in their constitution. But in 1790, the New Jersey state constitution actually amends its election law to explicitly enfranchise women by adding the words actually he or she into the election law. So it's actually deliberately enfranchising women in a way that no other state in this period has.
Wow. What do you attribute that to? Because New Jersey was so different that way. Was it the people who were in leadership? Were there women at the forefront pushing to make sure that this could happen that you're aware of?
That's a great question. We're not sure if women were actually pushing this agenda, but we do know that in New Jersey and as well as many mid-Atlantic states, they have a very diverse population, and particularly a very high Quaker population. So most historians kind of make the argument that this intentionally racial and gender-neutral language was influenced by the Quakers, who were, much more egalitarian in many of their principles.
Wow, that makes sense, because a lot of what we've seen. There you go. A lot of what we've seen, and when we see changes, it usually came out of the Quaker population. They were not perfect, but they were the ones who were most willing to shut down a lot of the things that they were seeing happening that would disenfranchise women and people of color. Wow. All right. Is there anything else you'd like to add to this while we're on the line?
Actually, I would just like to put in a quick plug for a virtual program that we have next Tuesday, October 13th. It starts at 5 o'clock. It's sponsored by the World Affairs Council of Philadelphia, and it's a panel called World Affairs and the Enduring American Revolution, Women's Rights. So it's a really exciting virtual panel discussion with a bunch of really amazing panelists who will be discussing not only women's rights in this earlier period, but also throughout the 20th century and into today as well.
Yes, I'm so excited about that. Dr. Marcella Macucci, thank you so much for talking to us about something that we did not know, an exhibit that's happening right now at the Museum of American Revolution, 3rd and Chestnut, has a new exhibition, When Women Lost the Vote, A Revolutionary Story, 1776 to 1807, a period of 31 years where women and people of color were allowed to vote in New Jersey. And you can go on the website at, let me just make sure, give me the website again, please.
It's www.amrev.museum. .org. www.amrevmuseum.org. If you'd like to purchase tickets, and in a couple of weeks they'll have an exhibit where you can go look online that will be totally free. And I am encouraging every educator, wherever you are at the sound of my voice, to go online and teach the children this part of their history. Dr. Marcella Macucci, thank you so much for being a part of the show today. I appreciate you. Oh, thank you so much. It was my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That segment was brought to you by Comcast NBC Universal. And so it was about the 19th Amendment and the 100th anniversary of the women's right to vote, except now we're learning between 1776 and 1807, women and people of color were allowed to vote in New Jersey. They're calling it the New Jersey exception. So if you want to learn more about it, you go to the Museum of the American Revolution's new exhibition, When Women Lost the Vote, A Revolutionary Story, 1776 to 1807. It dives into the period where women and free people of color were legally entitled to vote in the state of New Jersey, otherwise known as the New Jersey exception. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
Keystone First VIP Choice HMO SNP Dual Eligible Special Needs Plan has a 4 out of 5 star rating and is one of the highest rated Medicare plans in the region. Keystone First VIP Choice and you are better together. If you live in Philadelphia, Bucks, Chester, Montgomery, or Delaware County, and you have both Medicare and Medicaid, choose the Medicare plan that is working to help you get better care. Enjoy extra benefits at no cost to you with Keystone First VIP Choice. You get benefits like dental, vision, and transportation to and from your medical appointments. They also cover a fitness membership to a gym of your choice. $150 toward over-the-counter pharmacy items. There's no copay for doctor's visits. They offer a large provider network, a great prescription plan, dental coverage, and even eyeglasses. Plus, you don't have to wait for open enrollment. You can change your coverage every quarter. Keystone First VIP Choice. The name you trust, the service you deserve. Call Keystone First VIP Choice today at 1-877-686-1760 or visit KeystoneFirstVIPChoice.com.
Recovery starts with a call. Pennsylvania's Substance Use Disorder Hotline is staffed by real people who are trained to help. They're here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They'll get you or your loved one into treatment regardless of your access to insurance. If you or someone you know is suffering from addiction, call 1-800-662-HELP. Recovery starts with a call.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
He's back.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton.
Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton.
In times like these, we have to stay connected.
At a brand new time.
Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight.
I'm excited that Keeping It Real returns to WURD.
Keeping it real.
With the Reverend Al Sharpton.
Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight.
This program is pre-recorded.
No phone calls, please.
Keep it locked to WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM. WURDradio.com.
Want the latest in word swag?
Check out the shop tab on WordRadio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on WordRadio.com. Show the world that you're all about black.
Talk media.
To African Americans, what do you have to lose?
More than we could have ever imagined. Trump's policies make black people less safe, and his downplaying of coronavirus cost black lives. It's time to elect someone who cares about us. Joe Biden. Joe will fight racism and injustice everywhere. He'll expand Obamacare and rebuild our economy so it works for all of us. Request a ballot now. Make a plan to vote. Our lives depend on it.
Paid for by Ask Me People, which is responsible for the content of this ad. AskMePeople.org. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lockville Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDRadio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. Lord, it has been another great show. I have a few minutes left. I'm going to read those 4 ballot questions to you because I promise that I will do it every single time I am on the air until Election Day. In the meantime, though, I am going to cover, let's see, the New York Times, David Leonhardt. Good morning. Mike Pence and Kamala Harris meet in the campaign's only vice presidential debate, and we break it down. They didn't talk about the fly. They need to talk about the fly. Senator Kamala Harris and Vice President Mike Pence debated in Salt Lake City last night. Erin Schaff from the New York Times. Mike Pence and Kamala Harris are both skilled debaters, and their debate last night was far easier to watch than last week's presidential debate. But there was also a problem with the vice presidential debate. Pence repeatedly made statements that were either misleading or untrue. Rather than laying out his honest disagreements with Harris and Joe Biden, be they on tax policy, abortion, policing, immigration, the environment, or any other number of issues, Pence misrepresented the Trump administration's record and Biden's. To be clear, both Pence and Harris also engaged in mild overstatement and rhetorical flourishes at times. That's normal in politics. Harris, for example, exaggerated the job losses that President Trump's trade war with China has caused, but Pence was far more dishonest. At several points, he seemed to want to run a record that didn't exist. Here is a partial list. On day 1, he says, Joe Biden is going to raise your taxes. This is false. Biden has proposed tax increases only on households making more than $400,000 a year. Pence said he and Trump had a plan to protect pre-existing conditions for every American. The administration has all repeatedly attempted to take health insurance away from Americans, and the number of uninsured people has risen during Trump's presidency. By the way, last week, unemployment Trump claims claims, 840,000 people in 1 week filed unemployment claims. The numbers are going up higher and higher. Pence claimed that Trump has suspended all travel from China. He did not. Although Trump claimed to have done so, hundreds of thousands of people traveled from China to the United States after the coronavirus appeared. Pence said that the Trump administration will continue to listen to the science on climate change. The administration has defied or ignored the views of scientists on climate change. Pence said Biden would ban fracking. Biden would not. Pence said Trump revered members of the military. In 2015, Trump publicly mocked John McCain because he had been a prisoner during the Vietnam War. More recently, Trump has described American soldiers killed in war as losers and suckers, The Atlantic has reported. Pence said voting by mail created a massive opportunity for voter fraud. This contradicts all of the available evidence and history about mail voting. Pence said he and Trump have always told the American people the truth. Lord. The most disappointing aspect of Pence's performance is that he has deep disagreements with Harris and Biden that don't depend on distortions. It is entirely possible to make a fact-based case against higher taxes on the rich, or widely available abortions, or high level of immigration, or new restriction on police, but that is not what Pence did. A strong moment for each candidate. Harris's opening remarks taking the administration to task for the terrible toll of the coronavirus on the U.S. Pence is celebrating the Trump administration turn to a more hawkish approach to China, which has become a bipartisan consensus. Despite the vice president's repeated interruptions, the two debaters spoke for nearly identical amounts of time overall, almost 30 minutes and 30 seconds. Harris refused to answer Pence's direct question about whether Democrats will expand the number of justices on the Supreme Court. Pence didn't answer when the moderator asked him why America's pandemic death toll is disproportionate to its population, and what would he do if Trump refused to accept the election results. Post-debate instant poll. 59% thought Harris won, 38% thought Pence won. CNN's poll found a fly that landed on Pence's head for more than 2 minutes became a star on social media. That was so interesting. It was the uninvited guest. Okay. Okay. All right. So here I am now. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Stop one. Okay. Okay. Got it. So I'm going to read the 4 questions to you now from the 4 ballot questions, and I'm going to do it every single day until people get accustomed to it. Question number 1. We, the citizens of Philadelphia, called upon the police department to eliminate the practice of constitutional stop and frisk consistent with judicial precedent that a person is engaged in criminal activity in order to stop that person, and therefore an officer cannot stop someone unlawfully because of their race, ethnicity, gender, sexuality, religious affiliation or expression, or other protected characteristics. If you vote yes on this ballot question, it means you want to change the city's charter so that it sets forth a statement that calls upon the police department to end the practice of unconstitutional stop and frisk. The statement would elaborate on the constitutional limitations on police stops. If it would state that for a stop and frisk to be constitutional, an officer must have reasonable suspicion that the person stopped is engaged in criminal activity. It would also state that an officer cannot, under the law, stop someone because of the person's race, ethnicity, gender, sexuality, religious affiliation or expression, or other protected characteristic. Question number 2. Shall the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter be amended to create the office of the victim advocate to advocate for crime victims and to work with victim services providers to coordinate, plan, train, educate, and investigate issues relating to crime victims? If you vote yes on this ballot question, it means you want to change the city's charter so that it establishes an office of the victim advocate. If the office is created, it would be headed by the victim advocate, who would be appointed by the mayor of the city with the advice and consent of city council. The responsibilities of the office would include the following: advocating for for victims of crimes as individuals and as a group, ensuring that crime victims know their rights, promoting cooperation among agencies that serve crime victims, and providing training and support to agencies that interact with crime victims. Question number 3, a police commission. I'm telling you all of these things so that when you go into the polls, don't just vote for president, vice president, attorney general. You have to answer these ballot questions. Please, people, if we want to see a better state of life for us, we have to pay attention to these ballot questions. Question number 3. Shall the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter be amended to provide for the creation of a Citizens Police Oversight Commission and to authorize City Council to determine the composition, powers, and duties of the commission? Okay. The city currently has an oversight body called the Police Advisory Commission, created by the mayor, which the mayor could eliminate. With this charter change, the Citizens Police Oversight Commission would be a permanent part of city government. City council would determine how members are selected for the Oversight Commission and would establish the commission's specific powers consistent with its mission, which would be substantially broader than the advisory role of the Police Advisory Commission. And the 4th question is, should the city of Philadelphia borrow $134 million to be spent for and toward capital purposes as follows: transit, streets and sanitation, municipal buildings, parks, recreation and museums, and economic and community development? This ballot question, if approved by voters, would authorize the city to borrow $134 million for capital purposes, thereby increasing the city's indebtedness by $134 million. So you can either vote yes or no. Viola, you're back in Delaware. How are you? You're my last call for today. How are you, lady?
I'm doing great. I'm at home. I got in here about 6:30 yesterday morning. I drove all Tuesday,
yes,
and I just had to be home.
Yes.
But talking about education,
yes, ma'am.
If there's a family that has the EBT card,
yes, ma'am.
Most places children can get in something that they have to pay as little as $2
to museums.
At most of the museums in Philadelphia,
Uh-huh.
as well as there's a card that's called the stamp card,
Uh-huh.
that takes you up to age 19, that you apply for it through the city,
Uh-huh.
and children can get in free in almost 14 different museums.
Oh, wow.
So if the parent has to pay, it does make it easier that the child can get in free
right.
on the stamp card.
Right.
But the EBT card, there's always a way of maybe having a minimal amount to pay.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it because I traveled with my grandchildren at different museums with an organization that they had,
Mm-hmm.
and they had an EBT card, but yet me as a senior citizen or a veteran card, because I have a veteran's card,
Mm-hmm.
I get it free.
Okay. Thank you for letting us know that. I appreciate it, and I'm glad you're home.
Yeah, yes. Listen, I'm in for 2 days. Maybe 3, but I got to come to Philly to go on the hayride with my grandchildren and great-grandchildren.
All right. Well, you make sure you wear your mask and make sure you take good care of yourself, okay?
I have given out masks as I traveled across the road.
Yes.
Anybody that was a service person, I gave them a free mask according to what branch of service they were in. And sometimes just a person, because they spoke to me or said something, I ask them, do they have a mask? And if they say they pull out one of those throwaways,
right,
I give them one of mine.
Yeah. Oh, you're so sweet.
It's all about communication. And
yes, ma'am.
You know how much energy it takes to be angry?
Oh, child. Who are you telling?
It takes a lot less energy to be nice.
Yes, Lord. Thank you so much for calling
You're
in, okay?
welcome. All
Have
right.
a good one. All right. We have come to the end of another episode of The Source. You all were just absolutely wonderful. It was a good time talking to each and every one of you. I am hopeful that we have given you information that will be edifying to your spirit, to your soul. I hope that you will find time to seek to understand instead of always wanting to be understood. I hope that you find time to stop being so angry about every diggity dang thing. Take a chill pill, breathe in some fresh air, go stand up in the sun. The vitamin D is helpful and encouraging to your soul. And do something kind for someone who cannot do anything for you in return. Coming up next is Sincerely Sarita for the Happy Hour. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.